It's 7:30 on this Tuesday morning, and you're very welcome along to OTB AM. It's Owen and Ger with you right the way through until 9:30 this morning, and we've got plenty coming up. We're going to get stuck into some of the Women's World Cup stories over the next couple of hours. We're going to have Ronan O'Neill, the now former for now, Tyrone footballer, on the line. Tommy Rooney will be in with us, blasting the Football Championship, telling us why we can forget about it all because it's all over and that we may never be able to fix this thing. But the main point this morning really is Ireland and basically the sense of déjà vu that we've got. Is it déjà vu for you, Ger?
What do we expect? What do we expect?
What do we expect because they're Ireland, or what do we expect because it's Mick McCarthy?
Look, Mick McCarthy's a very nice man. He gives great press conferences. Last night he had the crack about the bus breaking down. Can you tell us any more? It wouldn't go any further, and it's gone viral. And you're like, all right, this is it now. We've got good press conferences to look forward to. But he's a championship manager. Like, he has always been a championship manager, and this is the football that we're going to play. We're going to be tough and difficult to beat against the better teams, and we're going to play down to the level of the bad teams. Not a million miles away from what happened under Martin O'Neill, but away from home under Martin O'Neill, we actually got really good results over the last 3 seasons.
Friday night was a really good result.
I mean...
And it was done in a manner that was far more entertaining than the really good result that was a 0-all.
It was a fine result, right? Let's not get carried away. A really good result would have been to go away from home and win. Let's actually, to be serious for a second, right?
Yeah.
He
hasn't had the opportunity. Okay, you go first.
A really good result is to win games. It was a fine result, right? So let's not get carried away.
But he hasn't had that opportunity to actually go and get those really good results. You're talking about Vienna, you're talking about Cardiff.
Yeah, grand. But this is of a piece with the career that McCarthy has had, and he's fine, right? He is fine, but he's not good, and so far his teams have not played great football. They've played slightly better football than Martin O'Neill's, and look, even judging him against Martin O'Neill is the wrong thing to do, because Martin O'Neill was a Premier League manager, and if he can get us out of this group, that would be by far his greatest managerial achievement.
Really?
Absolutely, by a mile.
Not getting out of the group stages in the World Cup?
He had in the World Cup.
In the World Cup.
I mean, he had Damien Duff.
A great team. But finishing above Denmark or Switzerland, is that as like
to get us out of the group and qualify for the tournament, right? Yeah, I would say absolutely. This team is not a shadow on the team that Cavan played on.
Sure. So you're kind of getting this to the point where we should just be accepting what happened last night, and I'm kind of going to agree with. Say he is a championship manager, and this is a championship squad. It is a predominantly championship squad, or in certain positions it is. Like, should a good championship team not be far more impressive or far more incisive against a team like Gibraltar?
Yeah.
Like that's what my point is here. That I'm veering into the idea of agreeing with you, but
Matt Doherty. What the hell did Matt Doherty do not to be able to get into that team? He must be looking around going, that guy's ahead of me, that guy's ahead of me, that guy's ahead of me.
Well, we know what he did.
Well, we don't, because it was one of the most illogical things that's ever happened that I can remember in Irish sport. We're throwing this game out, it means nothing because of the weather conditions. It turns out we're just as bad at home. But Matt Doherty gets blamed for the entire performance. It's illogical, but he gives great press conference. Mick, so fair play, he gets away with it.
So you're saying that Martin O'Neill is a Premier League manager, Mick McCarthy is a Championship manager, but you also contend that Mick McCarthy has got us playing better football.
So we should stop comparing everything with Martin O'Neill. We should just stop, because that era is over, and we should compare everything with the
large swathe of the same players.
With the Mick McCarthy era and with his career. This is what we're going to get. We're going to get our team playing down to teams who are inferior to us and playing a little bit above themselves, because he's a good motivator in games against teams who are better than us. But do we really have a significantly better pattern of play over the course of the 90 minutes against Denmark than we should have? Where the midfield, so why was Kev able to come on here and go, the midfielders weren't looking for the ball, they weren't actually going and requesting it? Why was he able to diagnose that? And why weren't they working on Matt Doherty playing football alongside Seamus Coleman for the 2 weeks when they had the opportunity to do so? Don't give me it's too short a time. And is Enda Stevens definitely better at left back than Matt Doherty would be at left back? Or Seamus Coleman at left back and Matt Doherty at right back? Is that definitely a better team? I don't know. But we could have tried it last night.
I would definitely suggest that wouldn't transformed the team to a point where we're killing Gibraltar last night, changing up the fullbacks. In fact, I think Enda Stevens has been one of the better players in the brief Mick McCarthy era so far.
Last night, was he?
Oh, I didn't think he was great last night.
Okay,
but
so
I still think in the total course, I'm not
going to force you to die in the hill of Enda Stevens, but like
Seamus Coleman was good last night.
The point is that it's not one decision; it's an accumulation of loads of decisions where you don't even bother trying to get one of your best players into the team over the last 2 weeks. By all accounts, he's been playing right back in training. We already have a right back. Maybe we'll try something else. Remember, this is a manager who frequently, throughout his career, has played players out of position. Ian Harte was a centre-back for a little while. I'm trying to remember some of those other crazy decisions that happened at various stages under Mick, where, we went 3 at the back with Roy Keane as a centre-back, famously. Like, he's not averse to playing players out of their position, but except in this one instance where obviously Matt Doherty, his face doesn't fit.
Well, I just think you're overthinking it a little bit. I think Matt Doherty as a right midfielder or ahead of Seamus Coleman was the solution that clearly Mick McCarthy thought was the solution, and then just abandoned that after that weird game in Gibraltar. Why not stick with that is my point. I don't think we need to get into the idea that Enda Stevens or Seamus Coleman need to be jettisoned. I think you look at getting your best players on the pitch, and is Robbie Brady
the effort.
And is Robbie Brady that person who is closer to being pushed out of the starting 11 than say Seamus Coleman or Enda Stevens' form deserves? And I think that is the case.
Whatever. I mean, Brady might be our best left back. Like, he might just be our best left back, but like, how are we ever going to find that out? Is he even trying that in training? Who knows? Like, I don't know. I think we should just expect this now because this is what we have. But I say bring on the next era as soon as we possibly can.
What is your expectation then? Is it a situation where Switzerland will get a scrappy 2-1 draw in both legs?
Scrappy 1-1 draw?
2-1 win?
A scrappy 2-1. Look,
are we going to lose to Switzerland basically away and then maybe draw?
Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see who's fit. Let's wait and see what players are available and who he picks. I do think that it was positive that Hurling got the opportunity to play where he did, and I think he's going to get better. I think he's going to get better with some Premier League football under his belt. So, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility. But I mean, how many of our strikers have scored goals?
Well, as we found out yesterday, it was 0. It was 1 until we realised it was an OG yesterday, and it's clearly still 0. All the strikers in the squad as of yesterday not scoring a senior international goal. Let's tell you what's coming up on the show this morning on OTB AM. We're going to get into the sports pages in just a moment. Is football dead? Is the rather ominous headline there for our 7:50 slot. Tommy Rooney has written a hugely controversial column for offtheball.com. Give it a read if you want to brush up on his hot take. He'll be in studio with us just before 8 o'clock to give us a rundown of that. The Women's World Cup, then we're going to get us stuck into that at 8:20. The USA are in action tonight. Ronan O'Neill then is live on the line at 8:20 this morning. He walked away from the Tyrone panel, remember, earlier this year. So we'll talk to him about that decision to leave the panel and his thoughts on the Tyrone performance against Donegal last Saturday night. The sports news with Phil Egan is coming up at 9 o'clock, and then we'll have more analysis and reaction from Ireland against Gibraltar at 9:05. Before that, it is time for the sports pages. And we are going to start this morning with the Irish Daily Mail. Rocky victory. McCarthy says Gibraltar win was a horrible game. It's not wrong there. And Tyrone's McCann to learn suspension fate, says Micheál Clifford here. So this is a situation where Tiernan McCann may only get a 1-game ban. I think Colin McKees has it in the Irish Independent. So that'll be interesting to see what the reaction to that is like. And also, as you can see on the top of the back page here, has TJ Reid dethroned King Henry? Philip Lanigan's column this morning is very interesting. We might come back to that in a little while.
As the greatest of all time?
Well, I'm not. The term GOAT isn't mentioned in the piece, but it's just a direct comparison between TJ and between Henry Shefflin. It's just basically asking the question: is he better than Henry Shefflin? So, if you believe Henry is the greatest of all time, then yes, that is exactly what Philip Flanagan is asking. He talks about the tough apprenticeship that he went through, the less amazing teammates that TJ Reid has had to share a pitch with, and just the unbelievable performances that he's put in, sometimes against the grain. He makes a comparison between TJ Reid in this summer's championship and Maradona in the 1986 World Cup.
Yeah, Maradona did have Jorge Valdano playing with him, but maybe Richie Hogan can play the Jorge Valdano role. Okay, so the Examiner this morning is rock and roll, lacklustre Ireland grind out win over Gibraltar. Game changer Barca turned reffing into a search for perfection. I don't know if everybody's actually just overreacting to VAR, and maybe we'll all settle down in 18 months' time, we'll forget about all this. All-Ireland qualifiers, Monaghan and Armagh set for Clonus Cyclone. Fogarty Forum. Hurling is not ready to tackle cynicism scourge. And Beach ready, McIlroy heads to Pebble, pumped and primed. Interesting column, as ever, from Mike Quirk. When players are so disciplined off the field, why do they lose control on it? And if you weren't sure, you just flick to the page and you see Tiernan McCann getting his fingers right in there. And a one-game ban.
Supposedly, we're going to know a lot more this afternoon, I think.
His thumb is in the mouth there, isn't it? Like, is that like, or is it down here? So is it just?
Like, I would definitely suggest it's in the mouth. And beyond that, it's up to you. There has been some suggestion that Stephen McManaman couldn't see after the particular challenge. Carl Lacey was on the record as saying that yesterday.
Yeah, so Carl Lacey says he was sore when it happened. There was a possibility he might have been taken off. The sight was gone for a wee bit. But he's a tough boy. I don't know about it, the video footage. I didn't know about it until the way home. I didn't see it at the time. We've other things to worry about. We'll let the GAA deal with that.
Well, like, we will see. It is a rather kind of grey area, isn't it, that we're getting into here. Clearly the hand is in the face. Clearly we can see the foot going to the head. Did the hand wander towards the eye? Is that the difference between a full summer ban and a one-game ban?
But is the foot in the head not enough for a full summer ban?
Well, that's my point here. It's like, is that grey area we're all lingering in and kind of tiptoeing around over the last couple of days? Like, we can't call it a gouge because, gouge suggests the eye, but you can call it a fishhook because clearly his finger's in his mouth. But maybe you can call it a gouge because maybe his finger was in the eye.
Yeah.
And that is the thing we're kind of flirting with. But maybe it doesn't make a difference.
I think that there just needs to be a tightening up of the rule book. Any contact with the face area should be an automatic 3-game ban. And then if you do a little bit of digging around, if you don't have a little feel around, if you're just testing the texture of the eyeball, seeing if it's as jelly as it looks, then that should be like a year ban, right?
Yeah, like, I mean...
Fishhook should be like... You should be thirsty through the streets of whatever small town or village and everybody can come and throw shit at you. I mean, literal human feces.
Have you ever had the urge to fishhook somebody?
No, not yet.
One day.
It's an early morning, yeah.
The back page of the Herald is Coleman saying we must do better. Ireland captain relieved after narrow win over Gibraltar. Dave McGoldrick there smiling kind of in relief after he thought he'd scored his first international goal. I'm not sure that he even fully believe it at the time, but it was an own goal. And also death, taxes and Cluxton. There are now 3 certainties in life.
Hey, front page of the Irish Independent. Got to bring you this because it is another FAI story. High profile FAI salary details at risk in email hack. There are fears that the salary and bank account details of John Delaney, Mick McCarthy and other leading FAI employees and officials may have been compromised by the cyber attack on the troubled association. FAI staff have been warned in an internal memo seen by the Irish Independent that bank account and PPS details could have been accessed during the hacking of the association's email servers. And they've been told, if you work for the FAI, monitor your account just in case somebody gets their hands on it.
The Sun this morning goes with, I'm off on holiday. Mick's over and out after going 5 points clear. Will he bring us back a lick of rock, says Robbie Brady then, in terms of the back page there.
Well, oh, because he's got a tongue out.
Mm-hmm. And there's a rock in Gibraltar, apparently. The one Ole wants, determined Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is ready to up his offer for Aaron Wan-Bissaka to £50 million. What was he yesterday? 35?
I don't know.
25?
It's short of the 65 they asked for, right?
Yeah, so it's... Oh yeah, sorry, here it is. United saw their 35 million quid bid KO'd by Crystal Palace. So if you've gone from 35 million to 50 million quid in the space of 24 hours, a good negotiator, now I know I'm sticking my neck out here, may feel that they could get even more than that. If you've gone up by 15 million quid in 24 hours, you might even be able to get your full 65 million Crystal Palace. And this whole idea that Manchester United have changed their entire structure based on the idea that they signed Daniel James for, chips that we might reflect upon. It seems that they haven't actually done so. And Blue must get top 4, says Andrew Dillon. Chelsea will demand a top 4 finish from their new boss, even with a transfer ban and the loss of star man Eden Hazard. Frank Lampard, the front runner to get the Chelsea gig.
Right. The Irish Times, Sports Tuesday. Gavin Kumsky has the job of doing the player ratings. Emma Malone has the match report. And I'd love to have turned everybody on with some sexy football, says Big Mick. But, well, We didn't. OFI surprised by European Games invite for Hickey. European Olympic Committee continues to stand behind its former president. So, last week's news that the former president of the Olympic Council of Ireland, now Olympic Federation of Ireland, OFI, Pat Hickey, was invited to the European Games in Minsk was not something the OFI saw coming. I guess if your buddy's in trouble, you've got to stand by your buddy. That's how life works. That's what good buddies are.
You can't not buddy up with somebody after they've been your buddy for so long, really.
No, exactly. It'd be
rule number one of life.
It'd be a bad thing to do. And Kevin McStay, the qualifiers are light years ahead of the alternative. We're going to talk about this with Tommy Rooney. The qualifiers, I mean, are they light years ahead of the alternative? Is the alternative the past or is the alternative the future? Because we can all imagine a better future. So, I don't know. I think qualifiers are rubbish.
Well, they're certainly better. They're certainly better than the alternative of the past. But I presume he's talking about the alternative of the future, which would be potentially a two-tier championship. Like, for me, when I saw Fermanagh get knocked out of the championship at the weekend, I'm not going to lie, I thought to myself, good riddance. Good luck to you, Fermanagh. But then I thought about it for a second. I was like, how unfair is it that, you know, they put in a brilliant, by their standards, brilliant league campaign, conceded the least amongst all four divisions. I disagree with how they play, but fair enough to them, and good luck to them for planning, preparing, all that. So that's supposed to be your foundation for the summer ahead. Then they draw Donegal and Ulster, and it's a game they're expected to lose, and they do lose. Round one of the qualifiers, they draw Monaghan. It's a game they're expected to lose, and they do lose, and that's it.
They're finished.
Like, that's it.
The wages of sin or death, and you're happy about that.
And, like, to be fair, as I say, it's like, I don't enjoy watching them play. I enjoyed seeing Donegal unlock them in that game in Ulster, but still, you can see the injustice.
A quick 5 out of 10 for Shane Duffy. Comparisons to Richard Dunn, never mind Paul McGrath, are premature. Highlight was passing the ball out of play on 18 minutes. Couldn't get the noggin to Horan's poor corners. So Gavin Cummiskey not sparing the rod, channeling his inner Keep this morning.
Gavin Cummiskey is my favourite player rater in any of the newspapers, really. I'm not sure who's doing well in his ratings, but it seems Callum Robinson is the man who's stood out for most player raters, as you can probably imagine. Although Dan McDonnell didn't even go for an Irishman with his man of the match. Conor Howard and Jeff Hendrick getting 5s here in the Mirror. Shane Duffy did get a 6. Enda Stevens getting a 5. Like, I've picked a bad morning, I'll accept, to try and defend Enda Stevens. Like, it was opportunistic from you, for sure, to go for the Matt Doherty should be in at left back take.
Try it. Or try Coleman at left back. Like, he's a really classy footballer. He could easily do it. He could be brilliant at it.
I'd be interested to see that.
Dennis Irwin was like, oh, you know, we've got a really good right back now. How about you play at left back? Yeah, no problems. And was excellent. Always excellent.
I would be interested to see Seamus Coleman at left back, see how he does. And see if Adrian Barry would give him a higher rate. I'd like to see Adrian's take on Seamus Coleman last night, actually. The Mirror this morning, top of the morning to you. Damp jib, no fireworks from Ireland, but Mick's just happy to be 5 clear at the top. And Stephen Sight was gone for a period. This is Carl Lacey, who was doing the rounds in the media yesterday. He said he was sore when it happened. This is Mac Menaman after the incident with Tiernan McCann. There was a possibility he might have been taken off. The Sight was gone for a wee bit, but he's a tough boy. I think he was a wee bit blurry in his vision. That was the feedback. Which is interesting stuff from Carl Lacey, who's obviously been speaking to Mac Menaman, or somebody close to Mac Menaman in the camp.
The Wrestling Post, Yates, 10 years on, how the staying legend made history in the Gold Cup, and Turner Ascot breakthrough for female riders in a matter of time, and then also a picture of Aidan O'Brien. Bookies fear Ascot drubbing at hands of O'Brien and Moore. It's obviously Ryan Moore alongside him as well. So.
Final newspaper for me then is the Irish Daily Star. Bumpy ride, traffic problems hold up Ireland, but it's a perfect 10 for McCarthy. We do have to say, give Mick McCarthy the huge benefit of the doubt here. We all know what happened last time a bus got delayed in a significant moment of Irish sport. They ended up losing at Murrayfield. Could have lost to Gibraltar last night because of the bus.
I mean, we could have lost to Gibraltar, right? Or certainly Gibraltar could have equalised.
Yeah, we kind of forget as well that we could have lost to Gibraltar in Gibraltar. Like, the save of the group so far, I dare say, I haven't watched too many of the other games that haven't involved Ireland, was Darren Randolph against Gibraltar.
Yeah.
So, we've got ourselves into a situation where we've been highly unimpressive against them, but at the same time kind of saving our bacon through a pretty significant save in the Gibraltar game. We're going to get Tommy Rooney in just a moment to chat about his column about how the Gaelic Football Championship is going to be tough to save. And perhaps we should just kind of save the debt rights now. Opinion, is it too late to save football? The players and the fans of Gaelic football are being cheated by the championship. And empty Croke Park on Sunday testified to the fact that the fans are sick of it. If you haven't seen this, it's on offtheball.com. One of the things that stuck out to me, it's something that a lot of people will know, but Tommy puts it into cold figures here. There have been 35 games in the All-Ireland Championship so far this summer. In 19 of those games, the difference has been 6 points or more. In 13 of those games, the difference has been in double digits. How do you fix the like? This is all basically in the context of us kind of celebrating the Ulster Championship and some other games that have been excellent outside the Ulster Championship. Look at the league. Now, this is the key point. In 116 games across the 2019 leagues this spring, just 5 games ended with a difference in the double digits. Now that's competition, that's worth watching. It's a monumental difference between the results we're seeing in the championship. How are you, Tommy?
Morning, lads. How are we?
So you were in the library that was Croke Park on Sunday?
I was in the lower Hogan stand. You can look over to the Cusack and you can pick out a mate and have a chat. Look across to the hill and pick out the 3 or 4 Meath boys that were causing a bit of hassle.
Can you hear all the calls during both games?
Oh, in the first game you could hear everything. You could hear Graham Brody chatting to his defenders and roaring stuff out the pitch. You could hear the players saying stuff. Yeah, you could. It was. I've been to a lot of bad sporting events that have been Leinster semi-finals. The worst probably being Westmeath's comeback against Meath, you know, that collapse. But like really bad events, I mean, in terms of like atmosphere. But that was the worst. Like that was.
Is the Leinster Football Championship the worst sporting competition in the world, or the worst one that we kind of interact with or watch with? I can't think of a worse one.
Maybe the basketball and the Olympics when the Dream Team were playing. It's fairly similar, isn't it? It's like
yeah, pretty bad.
All of these games are largely irrelevant. Although at least there are some other world-class athletes playing in that. The best footballer in Leinster outside of Dublin is not playing in the competition at the moment.
And like there does show up some good games. Like Longford-Kildare, the first game was a brilliant game. I'd say if Meath were playing Westmeath at the weekend, like if Laois had lost to Westmeath, I think it would have been a better game in terms of rivalry. Like I don't think Laois are a bad team. They got promoted from Division 3, but there was one stage in the second half where Donny Kingston had a free, and standing beside him was Brendan Quigley, who'd just come on. Ross Munley had just come on for Laois, and John O'Loughlin was there as well. And you're thinking that's all they really have at the minute. So like Meath kind of swatted them aside in 2 10-minute spells, but like Meath's problem was they stooped down to Laois's level at the start. Like they ran out of play with the ball twice. They were kicking balls over the end line. And they only kicked into gear after Laois got a couple of points 20 minutes into the game.
Your point about that, though, is that one of the reasons why Meath stooped to Laois level is not because Laois dragged them down, it's because the atmosphere is so dead that it feels like this is training.
Yeah,
not even a challenge, it's just training.
And that's kind of what I felt. So I was sitting quite low in the Hogan, looking at the pitch, and I was like, how can you get yourself up for championship football here when it must be surreal looking around the stadium and seeing all the empty seats. Now obviously you're not looking around the stadium because I've played in games before with an empty stadium. You're not looking, you don't know what's going on outside you, but there must be a feeling that what is going on here. And funnily enough, Kevin Feely, I hadn't read it at the time, but Kevin Feely was speaking to the Examiner on Saturday about it, how it feels like it's less than training, it's just dead, and that Kildare have had problems with that before and that they've had to work on not letting that affect them in a game, but it must affect you. And looking at the pace of that Meath-Laois game at the start, there wasn't a championship pace to that game. Like Brian Menton brought a bit of zip and scored a goal twice. He just upped the game by 15% and Meath just took over for 2 10-minute spells, and that was all they needed. But like, it's not doing anyone any good. Like, you're paying in to watch championship football. You want to see a bit of blood and guts and a bit of fire, and it just wasn't there at all.
What was the roar from the hill like when Dublin ran out?
The loudest roar from the hill all day was when Stephen Cluxon put that ball over the bar in the 2011 All-Ireland final from that montage. Like, that was it. Like, they didn't. I was sitting beside a couple of dubs and in the first half, and it was just like they were roaring, and they turned around to me one stage and they were like, they thought I was a Kildare man because I was roaring for Kildare, obviously, and they were like, you should have scored a goal there. And I kind of showed down my Meath top and I went, no, I'm shouting for anyone but Dublin here. And I was like, you guys must be sick of it. And he said he wasn't, like, but I didn't believe him. Like, they must be sick of it.
I don't think they are. I mean,
you have to be sick of it. But look, nobody turned up, Ger.
You're a Man United fan. You know exactly what it's like. You had all your teenage years where it was anointed at the start of the year that you were going to win the league more than likely, and you loved every second of it.
Well, I didn't. I used to love a Man United when 1-0 down when I was younger.
They were going to win.
Well, they never went unbeaten. Like, Brian Fenton's never lost a championship game. These are the standards we're talking about here. It's like I often try and put myself in those shoes as well. What would it be like?
I do think though that I saw loads of people from Kildare giving out that it's not their fault that people aren't showing up, but it is on Kildare and Meath that they've not got the best of their respective resources over the last decade, that they fell so far behind.
Think of what Kildare have had,
coming back, right?
Think of what Kildare have had. Like, Kildare have had very good teams, and they were very unlucky in 2011 when Kevin Cassidy put that ball over the bar.
Not since Geezer, though.
But it could have changed, and but they've been very unlucky. They've had so many professionals that have gone to play AFL football, and they've come back now.
Yeah.
Like, there is obviously things going wrong. There must be things going wrong in Kildare at the minute, but they do have footballers there. It's just the gulf is so far apart.
Yeah, but
like, Jared, half time it was 11-7. Okay, and you're looking at that scoreline.
I don't think Kildare have done everything to maximise their resources, is my point. I don't think Meath have done everything.
No, they haven't.
Meath have got things more right than wrong in the last couple of years, but you still say that there are footballers in Meath who should be playing who aren't playing, and that's a
different conversation. Like, you guys are going to have Ronan O'Neill on later on as well. Like, that's a different conversation. Like, when I look at Meath and I look at how we're going to match up against Dublin, like, obviously you're always going to think, okay, obviously there's going to be, you might get a chance if something happens, but like, when you look at it man for man, like, Meath are missing the likes of lads like, say, Harry Rooney and Ronan Jones and even Breen Conlon, who are boys that are in profile 6'2" or 6'1", and they're a bit bigger. Like, that's what Meath are missing. Like, Kildare had that the other day, and they turned over Dublin an awful lot in the first half. They turned them over so many. Like, Michael Darmacaulay lost the ball so many times running down blind alleys in the first half. Peter Kelly had Conor Collin on his arse twice, and you're thinking, Kildare are in this, and then you go to yourself, actually they're not. The second Dublin switch it on a gear or bring it up a gear, it's game over, and that's what happened.
Okay, so are we saying that it is entirely Dublin's fault and that nothing can be done to fix this, or should these two other teams just be at the top end of Division 2 trying to get into Division 1?
The thing here is, like, Dublin, you can't blame Dublin for what they've done.
No.
You can't actually be too critical about the current management and the players, because they have no blame in this whatsoever. Like, just on your point on Kildare, Meath, like, you look at Dublin and what they did, say, even as recent as 10 years ago, because you look at 2000, 2001, when the structure started to come into place, with finances, all that sort of thing that allowed Dublin to move forward. It still took them a while for them to get that right. There was a bit of mismanagement with the senior intercounty team, and perhaps at different levels as well. Is that level of mismanagement going on in Meath and Kildare at the moment? Hasn't been going on for the last 5 or 10 years. Like, the population numbers are there.
Well, why are Mayo
is there?
Andy McEnany's done a brilliant job this year. Like, Meath are in Division 1. If Meath get to the Super 8s, the progression this year will be beyond anything they've achieved in the last decade.
For sure.
It's so much.
Like, prior to this year?
Well, McEnany's been building towards this for a couple of years. You need to give a manager a bit of time, and he's actually built a team that really suits the way he wants to play football. I just think they're missing maybe two big men on the pitch. Like, that's really what I think Meath are missing. I think they're really, really good breaking from the fence. They're really good going through the hands. They've got some really sharp forwards inside. They're just missing another man in midfield, or another 2 men in midfield around the half forward line. That's it. Like,
I think Monaghan and Mayo have been different styles of templates for what every intercounty team should be aspiring to be, and I don't think Kildare have hit that level since McGeeney left. And I'm not sure that the rest of the structures in the county board, obviously underage football is going well, but we're not seeing enough of those young players coming through, and we're not seeing the best player in the county play for the county at the moment. So
you're not seeing Jimmy Hyland either. Why is that?
I don't know. Even if he's not up to it yet, give him the game time, let him experience that. Like, unless they're protecting him for this run through the qualifiers or something, I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me.
But like, if Kildare get to the Super 8s and they break into an All-Ireland semi-final, this year's been a success.
Yeah, but
look at the profile of players that they have.
That's exactly what they should be aiming for. And so I think that team should have been able to put it up to Dublin for much longer than they did, and there should have been some tactical variation that you're going, okay, well, that's what you shot your shot, and that was your shot, as opposed to what we saw at the weekend.
Like, I heard a lot of Kildare people say after the game, that wasn't bad. Like, we actually, they didn't concede a goal. I know it was 15 points at the end, like, if Ben McCormick had taken one of his goal chances, or Cluxon had made that brilliant save from Keith Cribben, it looks a lot better. But the thing is, Dublin were at a challenge match pace.
Yeah.
They really were. Paul Mannion, was class in the first 10 minutes.
The Dubs must be bored of that, playing in that arena as well.
They have to, not in the arena, but at that pace.
In that arena when there's 30,000 people, and I'm sure 5,000 people had left.
Let's pretend that, say, Kieran Donaghy's championship structure is the reality now. How many of the Dublin games would be competitive? Because Kildare got to the Super 8s last year. Kildare are Division 2 side.
Are Dublin playing Kildare in Newbridge?
In Newbridge, that's the difference.
Competitive.
So that is obviously a key point.
I think they're away games, and it depends on who their home games are against. If their home games are against bad teams, then they're going to win them, but that's fair enough. And at least at the end of the 7 or 8 games, then you've got enough video evidence on all of the players to go, well, this guy's actually got a weakness here. This is their team weakness. That full back line that we've seen again and again and again and again of issues can be got at by this type of ball.
But Dublin will have the same evidence on other teams.
What?
Dublin will have the exact same evidence on other teams.
But at least, like you're closing the gap. So Dublin can use their evidence, but suddenly their issues have been at least tested.
The reality is Dublin will probably improve in that system.
Yeah,
it'll just make everything else better.
They got more depth as well.
It'll make everything else better. Like, all you got to do is look. I actually hadn't realised that it was that stark, the difference in score difference in the league and championship. But that's remarkable. That's unbelievable.
Like, I'm kind of split between two sides here. One is that if you took Dublin out of the championship, you'd have a brilliant All-Ireland. But then on the other side of things, like my idea that perhaps anybody could beat anybody to an extent outside of one versus the rest. You look at Meath versus Laois and what you're saying from Sunday. Now, I didn't see the full game, it wasn't on TV, but you're saying that isn't exactly the sort of level that you might expect from an All-Ireland championship, where say if you took out Dublin, that
Laois aren't great in reality. Like, they're in Division 3 playing this year. They're playing Division 3 football this year. They probably haven't had that many players coming through over the last couple of years. Laois aren't great. And Meath knew that they didn't have to be amazing to beat them. Meath backed Carlow by 15 points, but Carlow had a lot of problems this year. Like, I don't know. With a team like Dublin, you know, I'd never say take them out of the All-Ireland Championship and be way better. Like, Dublin are a brilliant team, but it's just if we change the structure around them, it's like we're playing 35 games to get to this stage. We're at the provincial finals now. The qualifiers after this round of games will all be very good, but it's like, why are we wasting our time getting this far? Like, and this conversation's been had so many times. It's just on Sunday when I was cycling home from Croke Park, I got angry. I was like, that was brutal. It was just so bad. I didn't pay in to watch championship football. It was like, it wasn't even league football. At
least you didn't pay for public transport. You cycled home, which is the positive of your excursion. If we keep the structures the way they are right now, what year does Dublin not win a Leinster Championship? Give me a year here.
Never.
Like,
No, I don't think it.
The provincial championships were over, and like the GA released that statement with their football review committee.
My point here is that means that there is obviously something fundamentally wrong with either Dublin being as one entity or the Leinster counties, because that's so you're saying to me that Meath and Kildare will never win an All Ireland then?
Well, no,
surely those two counties should have designs on winning an All Ireland at some point.
Okay. So look, I mean,
2025. There's the year.
2025, right. We'll play that back to you in 2025.
I think that they might randomly lose one of the next 20 Leinster Championships if things stayed the way they were. But it would be like Clare beating Kerry that year in 92. Was that 92?
92, yes.
Yeah, like a complete fluke. Out of nowhere.
I think you're talking about a hurling county in Clare. You're talking about Kildare and Meath, great football counties.
Run through the Dublin football camp the week of the game for them to.
But that's not. I don't agree with that. I fundamentally disagree with that, because Clare, comparing Clare with Meath and Kildare is just not a fair comparison.
Just an example, right? It's just an example. The point is that until Kildare and Meath get their house in order the way Monaghan and Mayo have, where everything leads towards the intercounty team and the club games are actually properly respected, so there's starred league fixtures and everybody understands this is the requirements that you have if you want to be an intercounty footballer, and management and county board and playing staff, playing group are all on the same page when it comes to what the commitment levels are and what the work-life balances are. It's not going to happen. And we haven't seen either of these two counties prove that they're able to do that. Kildare got close before Dublin started to roll the juggernaut. And look, better judges of Dublin football than me know and say that there is not the same talent pool coming through, that there is an incredible core of all-time great players that the Dubs have at the minute, that the next group of underage footballers isn't as strong as that. And you've seen Kildare and Meath be competitive in underage football in the last half decade, so maybe there's truth in that, and maybe that next generation has a chance of winning games. But like,
were we saying that at the start of the 5 in a row?
But who cares?
Who cares about?
Who cares if like somebody wins Leinster? Like,
but I think we know
this competition.
They've been defunct for a long time. They really have, and I think the GA are starting to admit that themselves. Like, that statement was released revealing the names of the people on it, and like, there's some interesting names on it. Kevin O'Donovan, Conor Donoghue from Meath is on it. You know, there's people there that have made changes in their own counties that are involved in this football review committee that are going to have a look at the structures. So
this has to be the end of the.
It has to be the end. That's how
this is as bad as it's ever been.
That's what I felt like. Like, my dad was at was in Clonus for the Cavan game, and I was like, do you know what? I wish I went to that. Like, I loved to watch a Meath win, but like, I wish I saw a proper championship match. And people might say that my garden's in Cavan, so that's probably why I'm predispositioned to that. But that's not the case at all. I just wanted to watch Championship football.
Yeah. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. You can tweet us at Off The Ball, or you can comment on the stream below if you happen to be watching on Facebook or on YouTube this morning as well. We should tell you that Off The Ball are heading for some winter sun and top-class golf, and we want you to join us. The Off The Ball crew, along with special guests Kevin Kilban, Kieran Doherty, Peter Lowry and more, are taking on two of the best courses on the planet. They're the Yas Links and the National, for the first ever Off The Ball Open this November. 5 nights in a 4-star hotel, a Peter Lowry golf clinic, gala dinner and a world-famous Off The Ball Roadshow this November 17th to 23rd in Abu Dhabi. Sign up now at offtheball.com/open. Right, so Shane Duffy was speaking to Nathan in the aftermath of Ireland's 2-0 win against Gibraltar last night, and he wasn't too happy.
How do you sum it up? Yeah, probably sum it up with just 3 points to win. Obviously it wasn't what we wanted. As probably performance and goals, but as I said, the most important thing is 3 points. Yeah, it's quite hard. I don't know what else to say.
What did you want? What was the hope from tonight? Was it to rack up a big score?
Not even that. They're probably more clinical, and I thought we were a bit sloppy at times, and me personally, and it's one of them things. You just want to finish the season strongly, and I don't know, I'm probably being a bit negative, but that's just the standards we're setting for each other, and we want to perform high. And I thought we probably below it a little bit tonight, but it was enough to get the 3 points.
Was there any come down from Friday night? Like everything we've heard from all the players, you were so up for that game. It seemed to be such an emotionally charged performance that coming home a game you're expected to win and win well, it was going to be hard to replicate that.
I don't think it was come down. I think we were professional about it. We done everything what we done for Denmark, we done for this. So I said everyone knows these games are sort of tricky, and I don't know. Yeah, it's one of them where you just have to go out there and be professional and try and get an early goal. And I should have had an early goal, so it was just one of them games. And but as I said, not too negative. 3 points, and it's a great start to the campaign.
Yeah, I think you could see you were getting a bit annoyed. I think it was 14 corner kicks. You probably never have that in your career again. Not to get one proper free header on target.
I said to Connor, that summed my game up, sorry. But he couldn't have put any more better balls in, and that was just probably summed my game up in total, to be honest.
Yeah. 10 points out of 12 though. The buzz, I'd imagine, will be back in this stadium come September in Switzerland, and a huge game. You're in a good position, but like such tough tests to come. What was Mick's message when you were leaving to go for the summer? No, he said well done. Listen, when he took the job, he'd be delighted with 10 points at the start. We know the tough games are coming and coming thick and fast, so one we're all excited for, really. I know the 2 Gibraltar games are out the way, and you can sort of put it to the back. You know, everyone sort of expects you to beat them, and we did. So the real tests come now, and we're all excited. Hopefully everyone stays fit. Good start to the season, and yeah, 10 points, and listen, we got Switzerland next, is it? Yeah, so big game. Aviva will be rocking, and one we're all looking forward to under the lights.
Shane Duffy there speaking to Nathan in the aftermath of Ireland's 2-0 win at the Aviva Stadium last night. Delighted to say that Ruth Fahey is with us on the line this morning. Good morning to you, Ruth.
Good morning, how are you guys?
Very well, thanks. We're going to get into the World Cup in just a moment, but just to get your brief thoughts on that, first of all, Shane Duffy, happy with the 10 points. Obviously, if you look at things on a black and white level, we would have taken 10 points at the start, but serious warning signs from the performance last night.
Yeah, it was worrying, and I'm going to have to be completely honest here. I was switching over to Canada-Cameroon, the Women's World Cup, in between. There were moments where the game was pretty tough to watch, and I had to switch over purely for work purposes, I'm going to say. But yeah, worrying signs, but like, what's new, guys? You know what I mean? We're having the same conversation over and over again. But look, 4 points, we'll take it for now.
Did you see this coming when Mick McCarthy was appointed?
Yeah, I foresaw some struggles, to be fair. Like you're not just going to transition from the O'Neill era, just streamlining into this, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I foresaw a bit of struggle. Absolutely no surprises, to be honest. But again, 4 points for the first 2 games, it can't be too dissatisfied with that.
What's your take on the whole Matt Doherty situation? The fact that we clearly aren't getting our best players on the pitch. Is it a situation that he should have persevered with him after the opening game in Gibraltar?
Personally, I just love Matt Doherty. I love the way he plays. Such an exciting winger. It's so difficult to have had a season that Doherty has had in 2018, 2019 and not play. I think he needs to play. For me, he has to play. Obviously, the argument against it will Coleman as he is, but yeah, I'm good at not seeing him play. I'd love to see him on the pitch in some shape or form.
Is it as a right midfielder? Is it potentially to give him a crack at right back, or what way do you see it?
I give him a crack at right back, to be honest. Because just the way he plays, and I know the arguments are all there and they're all valid for Coleman, but give Doherty a chance. Just give him a chance. Give him one go at right back and see what he can do.
It seemed that last night would have been the perfect opportunity almost to do that.
If you're going to play Gibraltar at home, I think that is the ideal opportunity to do it. So yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm sure I'm echoing sentiments of lots of others there in that sense too.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the World Cup. Tonight, the United States in action for the first time. They're up against Thailand, and immediately you look at this, you look at the defending champions, you look at the great chances they must have, but you start to look at what happened to them in the Olympics, Ruth, and I'm not sure about you, but I'm starting to see a few chinks in the armour here. Obviously still an outstanding team, but I wonder, has that doubt start to seep into the squad?
It's funny because coming into this World Cup compared to previous World Cups, States have a whole different kind of mind frame and mindset at the moment. If you listen to all the discussion around the team, the build up to it, the analysis behind it, there's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of negativity, whereas previously they would have gone into this as kind of storming champions, strong favourites. But I think this is the first time that they're really not the strong favourites. I wouldn't even put them at the top. I think we saw what France did last Friday, outstanding. And the thing is, the USA probably have the ideal scenario here. They're facing Thailand. People are expecting, 4, 5, 6-0 at this stage. But there's certainly chinks in the armour there. I don't think that'll be tested tonight, unfortunately, but I think we'll see it in the next game.
What are those weaknesses in your view?
Well, to be honest, the absence of Hope Solo is huge. If you listen to the dialogue and the narrative around the analysis in America at the moment, they're all very wary. They think there's a lack of leadership, a lack of communication. That's always going to happen when you lose someone like Hope Solo. But you can't look beyond the star panel that they have. And again, we're just not going to see those questions tonight, unfortunately. But like I said, USA, there's a chance that they're going to come up against France in the quarters if all things go as predicted. So we might actually see an early exit for the holding champions this time.
Right, okay, that's interesting. France, obviously very impressive on Friday night. They have the bulk of that team from Lyon who've won the Champions League so many times. Is that really the genesis of this team? Is there something else that we should be looking at here from this France team? Or is it basically that Lyon team has allowed them to build that confidence, that strength, that they can basically look at any other team in the competition and say, we're better than you?
Yeah, the thing is, you actually don't need to look much further than that Lyon spine between the likes of Wendy Renard, Eugenie Lesommer and I was about to say Thierry, Amandine Henry, of the centre. They're outrageous, and in addition to that they have Delphine Cascarino and Majri at left full, so they literally have about 6 or 7 Lyon starters in there. You don't need much more than that at the moment. They were outstanding again against an inferior side with South Korea, but they're coming up against Norway tomorrow evening, and that's going to be their true test. We saw Norway against Nigeria last Saturday. Norway weren't really tested, but at the same time they did not look like they had the star quality that France had. And I think I backed France at the start. Again, South Korea, not the greatest test, but I reckon France could get to the quarters. They could beat USA and go all the way. They've got everything that they need in their armour this year for sure.
That France-Norway game is going to be fascinating. We may as well chat about that now. And the idea of a nation holding the World Cup in both the men's and women's tournament, obviously it's never been done before. Is there any sense that this is actually going to put added pressure on this French team? Because it seemed from their performance on Friday night that it's water off a duck's back in terms of being the hosts.
It's funny, I was listening to a similar conversation yesterday. There's a huge amount of pressure on them, but they don't seem to be playing like that. They've been coming up to this World Cup, with that in their mind. They knew about the pressure, but they're looking to thrive on those crowds. They've got sold out stadiums all across this tournament. They didn't look like they were under any pressure last Friday. They were thriving on it. I don't know if you got to see it. Did you see the 2 goals from Wendy Renard? Absolutely incredible. And they could have had more. It could have been 6 or 7. It could be a really magical time. Imagine French men, French women, 2 World Cup holders. That would be something to talk about for sure. Yeah,
and I was just about to say that the support does really seem to be there for the women's team in the country, in and around the stadiums, packed out stadiums, as you say, for the home side. This is a movement happening behind not just the men's team a couple of years ago, or last year I should say, but this team as well.
Yeah, and I think that filters up even from club level, because Lyon have so much support, closely rivaled by PSG in France, have the money there. There's a lot of really positive media around them. Like, we hear it here from Ireland. So imagine being in France. And then when that happens, like, the respect goes up and they talk about it more in such positive light. So, like, it filters up. And when it comes to the international stage, then you see the quality shine through and you see the support around the stadiums. And, like, the more they progress and the better they get in the tournament as well, the more the hype is going to increase and increase. I'm not going to eat my words now. They're going to be absolutely atrocious against Norway. But, like, there's no reason why they shouldn't win. I thought Norway were relatively poor against Nigeria. Didn't create much, easily won, had the game wrapped up at halftime, so they weren't really tested either. But I think France will want to go on and set their mark now against Norway, who are ranked 12 in the world, but probably one of the favourites in the tournament, given that there are about 6 or 7 at the moment.
Yeah, like it's going to be a fascinating matchup, as I say, but you talk about external factors having an impact on a team, which of course is happening with France being the hosts and all that, but you talk about external factors, and Norway are affected, I would argue, way more by not only the absence of Ada Hegerberg, but also the conversation around it, the conversation about perhaps if she has decided to not play for the team, why have the rest of the players decided to play for the team? I do wonder if that creates a small bit of doubt in the players' minds or a bit of conflict, or I'm not sure how you view it, Ruth.
Well, I'm sure for them they definitely have the ability to shut that out for now, but I'm not sure if you've heard, there's been a lot of conversation about this in the last 2 or 3 days. A lot of high profile Norwegian stars have come out and actually slammed Hegerberg for continuing to talk about this, and what the issue is that they're claiming it's not clear why she's walked away. They're saying, look, come out and say what it is. She cited like a lot of kind of general factors, all extremely valid, but she hasn't said, look, this is what happened. This is what needs to be done. It hasn't been clear, and they're slamming her for this. And a lot of people are saying, and it's a fair point, like, I think maybe people need to stop talking about, like, the World Cup has started. Norway have launched their campaign. They've got their first win. They've got an absolutely massive game on Wednesday, and maybe the whole conversation with Hegerberg should just be shut down. Like, I just don't think you'd do that. Can you imagine if Messi or Ronaldo wasn't at the Men's World Cup? It's not something that you're ever going to stop talking about throughout the campaign. I think it would be better just to focus on the games, focus on who they do have, because they've got some cracking players like the Hansen, Herlovsen. They've already shown that they've stepped up since Euro 2017, where they got absolutely annihilated, by the way. Didn't score a single goal and were knocked out of the group stages, and that's what kicked off the Hegerberg departure, I suppose. So yeah, I'm sure back in Norway there's an awful lot of discussion about it, probably very split, similar to our own Keane Saipan saga back when it was. So, like, for me, I'd like just to focus on the games now. Hegerberg's not coming back to the campaign, but maybe afterwards wrap it up and see, can we get her back in the team, get her back on the international stage where she should be.
What about England? We read the English papers every morning here, and there's been as much hype around this team and as the men's team, really, and so that can only bring its own incredible pressure. And they were a little bit disappointing, kind of underwhelming in their opening game against Scotland.
Fair to say. I think they're underwhelming in the second half. In the first half, they were outstanding, and they looked like they were going to live up to all the hype that had been built up around them. Lucy Bronze and Nikita Parris on the right hand side were exceptional. Nikita Parris, any kind of English/Irish women's football fan will be familiar with her. She's top player in the WSL, but she just looked like on fire in the first opening 45. And then I'm not sure what happened. England kind of fell apart slightly. Scotland came back into the game in the second half. And it's funny, and as the match concluded, England won in the end 2-1, but a lot of the media was really negative around England. It just sounded very familiar. They've been built up so much, hadn't performed over the 90 minutes, but they've got an awful lot of depth in their squad. I wouldn't worry too much. Scotland could have been the biggest hurdle for them, just because they know each other so well, and it could have gone another way. Scotland had a couple of chances to equalise in the latter stages of the second half, but England still a top side, still one of the favourites, and they showed in the first 45 minutes that they are lethal. And again, they haven't even kind of exploited the depth in their squad whatsoever.
Right, that's interesting, because I was listening to, like, as you said, there's a lot written about this English performance and the underperformance, I think it's fair to say, on Sunday. Like, you listen to Phil Neville and he's saying, we expect to be in the latter stages of this tournament. So there's no delusion there, is there? That there's no sort of idea here that Phil Neville perhaps overrates his team a tad, because, as you say, you can pick out a handful of teams that are potentially better than this England side.
Yeah, I know. I actually, for once, to be honest, I don't think there's much delusion. I think they have a really experienced squad at this stage. Like, they got to the semi-finals, 4 years ago. They were really narrowly beaten by Japan and own goal in the dying moments of the game. Like, they're right up there with the top in the world. It's not an exaggeration. It's not an over media hype around it. They've got literally some of the best players in the world, possibly one of the best, with Lucy Bronze at right full. And like I mentioned, Nikita Paris, Fran Kirby, Georgia Stanway, Ellen White, like, they're peppered with world stars. So it's not an over exaggeration. They could really go on and get to the final. Again, they have improvement to make, but that's tournament football. Like, it's not going to go your way straight away. And although they're in the group of death, as I think they termed it that themselves, Argentina and Japan are in the group with them. Argentina and Japan didn't look on any crazy level last night as a 0-0 draw in the end. And if Argentina can take points off Japan, England can certainly go on and beat them. And they beat them 3-0 earlier this year in She Believes Cup. So, no, I would expect England to go far. Semi-finals at least. You never know, could get to a final too.
What's your view on who's going to win this thing, Ruth? Because by the way you're talking there, it does seem that you could pick out a few here that could go all the way and win this. There isn't somebody who's head and shoulders above the rest. Like, how big has the Hegerberg thing been in informing that view, I wonder? Would Norway be kind of close to front runners here? Because obviously the French and the USA might have something to say about that.
Norway, take away the Hegerberg thing, Norway is still right up there. You know, they topped their qualifying campaign. They actually beat the Dutch. A lot of people would question the Dutch. Norway beat them, and the Netherlands had to qualify against Switzerland in the playoff. For me, like, you can't look too far past France. I would have said that even before the game last Friday, just because they've won it now at this stage 14 of their last 15 games. You know, they're coming into this off the back of a really strong domestic club season. They've got the crowd support behind them. They are the hosts. Things all seem to be kind of turning their direction, and they're just they're just class as well. Like, you just can't overlook that. But it's not. This isn't kind of an over-exaggeration. Like, there are literally 5 or 6 teams that will win this, and that's why the tournament is obviously unique in terms of the coverage this time, but unique in terms of the quality and the spread of quality as well. So we're talking, like, literally England, France, we got Norway, Brazil are outside dark horses. Australia got beaten by Italy last weekend. Can't count them out either. Obviously Germany, USA, like, I could literally put 5 or 6 teams as favourites, but again, I'm still going to put my hat on France. I just think they look a world apart, but we'll know a lot more after tomorrow evening when they face Norway.
Yeah, we sure will.
They're going to come out on top of that.
That's going to be a cracker. But United States against Thailand is probably the game to be. Like, if the States put in a big performance tonight, say if it's 3-4, 5-0, is there a situation then where it becomes a momentum builder and States could become your front runners?
Well, see, I'll wait until they come across France again. Yeah, I reckon they'll put a couple of goals past Thailand this evening. I might kind of quieten the negative media around them at the moment. But I'll wait till they're truly tested. I think quarterfinals will be the case where they're tested. Yeah,
that's very true. Ruth Fahey, thanks a million for taking the call.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your morning.
Ruth Fahey there on the line, looking ahead to some of the big games in the Women's World Cup over the next couple of days and talking about some of the big storylines. Right, so Off the Ball has joined forces with 3 and 20 by 20 to bring you the most exciting event of the summer. It's our very first all-female roadshow celebrating the best of Irish women in sport. 20 by 20 is celebrating role models and the essential part they play in getting women and girls into sport. On the 11th of July, we will feature 3 different panels of Irish legends and icons who will inspire with their stories. The event is going to take place in the Alex Hotel, and there are limited tickets, so go get yours fast because they are going to sell out. It's an exclusive off-air event, and the only way you can see it is being there. For more information, head over to offtheball.com/events. We'll take a quick break.
Join Bruce Betting now for a risk-free first bet up to €100. That's right. New Irish accounts can enjoy a risk-free first bet up to €100. So if your first bet loses, we'll refund your stake with a free bet. Now that's giving you more. Bruce Betting. In store, online, and now on your phone. T's and C's apply. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Richard, not quite the same buzz, it seems, post-match as Friday night, but job done?
Yeah, no, we spoke about it afterwards there. It's about getting the 3 points, and we managed to do that. So it's a job well done, and like I say, I don't think they really threatened our goal at all. So, like, all in all, like I say, it was a good performance, solid performance. In them games, sometimes you can't win. We was professional, especially second half. Really dominated the game and won comfortably.
Any sense of frustration that you didn't rack up more goals?
No, not really, to be honest. Obviously, it was nice, but a win's a win. It doesn't matter if you win 1-0 or 5-0 or whatever you win. So, it was about getting the 3 points. And on another night, we could have easily scored a few more. So, job well done.
Had you prepared yourself well for the fact that they were in all likelihood going to sit back 5 at the back, that defensively, I guess, you just need to keep your concentration as much as anything else?
Yeah, exactly. They're always going to Yeah, I'm coming. They're always going to sit back and, like you say, I'm yet to wear them down. Yeah, like I say, they're always going to be sometimes a little bit of a threat on the counter attack because that's what you do. You're committing a lot of body forward, but I think they had one shot first half from about 30 yards, and other than that, I don't think Darren touched it second half. So, like I say, all in all, I thought it was a good performance and a nice win.
Yeah, it was a strange atmosphere around the stadium as well. It was always going to be, unless it was probably a 6 or 7-0. You just assume the atmosphere returns for Switzerland in September?
Yeah, listen, we know it's going to be it's up to us as players. We've got to get the atmosphere going, and I thought we did that second half especially. It was more aggressive, moved the ball a lot better, got a lot more crosses in. So, like I say, when the game is like that, it's down to the players to create the atmosphere themselves, and fans have been amazing. They always are, and like you say, I think now we've got the win. I think everyone can enjoy their summer now, rest up, and like you say, we got a massive one coming up when we return. So listen, if you'd have said to us we're sitting on 10 points, we'd have took that going into the next few qualifiers. So yeah, we're in a good position, and like I say, we just got to keep the buzz going, and and hopefully see where it takes us.
Richard Keogh there speaking to Nathan in the aftermath of last night's game. Interesting what Ruth had to say there a moment ago about Matt Doherty. Just give him a go at right back.
And put Seamus Coleman at left back.
The knock on of the idea, like, okay, let's just work in isolation with the Matt Doherty at right back thing. Like, it is true that there is nothing to lose with that. Like, do you lose something from whatever the knock on impact is? So you're
put
like
Seamus Coleman at left back.
Yeah. No, you don't, do you? You don't lose anything from that. The thing is,
Seamus Coleman a better left back than Enda Stevens? More than likely, right? I mean, it'd be good to find out. Last night would have been perhaps the perfect opportunity to find out. In training over the last 2 weeks would have been a good opportunity to find out. But
what about Matt Doherty left back?
Look, try something, right? Don't give me this. We tried it in Gibraltar and it didn't work. But I have no responsibility for how crap the performance in Gibraltar was because the weather was bad. Matt Doherty bears all the responsibility for how bad that experiment was. You can't do that. That's not how cause and effect, and we can judge this set of circumstances but not these ones over here. I'm not responsible for that. There's also this kind of perpetual sense that Mick is kind of washing his hands of the stuff, like, I'd love to have played sexy football last night, but like, you're the manager. You are the manager. It's your job to get it done.
There's a tweet in here saying Big Mick knocked out a great Netherlands team in the 2002 World Cup.
He did.
Easily a better achievement than if he gets out of this group. The same Netherlands side reached the semi-finals of the 1998, 2000 and 2004 finals of the World Cup and Euros. Take that, the McCarthy Premier League manager.
He had Roy Keane, the best player in the world, on his team, playing the best football of his career in that team. If he gets out of this group, and he won't, in these circumstances, there's a possibility we might qualify through the back door, but are we going to beat Switzerland? Are we going to get 4 points against the Swiss?
No.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. We might get two. Like
our best bet is to fluke a 1-0 win.
Are you encouraged at all by the lack of chances we gave up against the Gibraltarians last night? On a serious, in fairness, the idea of how many chances Ireland did give up last Friday night has been spoken about, and perhaps there was a little bit of scoreboard journalism going on in terms of the tone of that discussion. Now, on TV, in fairness, on Friday night, Didi Hamann was kind of questioning the belief of the Irish players in terms of actually being able to take a game and control the tempo of the game, that they're being dictated in terms of how to play the game, as in control possession. If you control possession, you can control the pace of the game. But do they actually believe that they deserve to control possession? Do they believe that they can actually take a team like Denmark and pass the ball around them for a little while?
I don't know. And to be fair for a moment to the current manager, perhaps the squad are traumatised by what went beforehand. But at the same time, maybe they're not. I mean, they are professionals and they're supposed to be free from the burden of the tyranny of Martin O'Neill. And has there been a significant improvement under Mick McCarthy so far? Significant improvement?
There clearly hasn't been a significant improvement.
Okay.
Like, there's been encouraging signs. Can you expect a significant improvement with the, essentially, okay, to use the Danish quote, you can change the manager but you can't change the players, from the same bunch of players? Like, can you hope for a bit of an improvement? And yes, you can, and I think we have got that.
I don't know, because Ireland played well in the Euros under Martin O'Neill with largely the same group of players. Like,
I was just thinking about it the other day. So the 7-0 against Gibraltar, Robbie Keane was obviously there. That was a huge thing to have. But also that day, like, you had Wes, you had a creator, and you had a goal scorer. You had two players who were able to do things to Gibraltar that there's no two players in our squad that can do those things to a team like Gibraltar at the moment. They should be able to, you would suspect, but clearly in comparison to that team, they just aren't there.
Well, look, I don't know. I mean, would Stephen Kenny's team have played the same? I don't know. I don't think they would. I think Stephen Kenny's team would have done better against Denmark and against Gibraltar. The Gibraltar game is largely irrelevant. We have to kind of, in many ways, just draw a line through it. But like, somehow the notion that we were going to be this free-flowing football team who were also going to have a high-energy press, like, I don't know where people were getting their notion of what football under Mick McCarthy was going to be like. Has there been a collective amnesia from the period of 1997 through to 2003? Has there? Or 2002, whatever it was. Like, this is Big Mick football. This is what you get. This is what you signed him to do, and this is what we're going to get the whole way through. It'll be scratchy, it'll be scrappy, the games won't be great to watch, and if we do manage to pull something off, it'll be because of a moment of individual brilliance.
Someone's in touch to say we're playing championship football because we're championship players rather than the manager. We'll play good and bad football, but if we qualify, then who cares? Is that too much of a results-based view? I'm not sure.
Oh, look, if you're a supporter and you qualify for a tournament, and that's what you want. Like, I understand that viewpoint, and that's legitimate. It's not it's not our job to be the nothing matters apart from qualification. Like, we can legitimately compare what's coming next with what we have now, and I'm very hopeful that what happens under Stephen Kenny's reign is going to be better than what we're seeing at the moment. Yeah,
for sure. Someone in touch about the GAA. Yes, Munster Football Championship is worse and has been for a lot longer. Completely pointless competition. Kerry have won 80 out of them, of only 129. My point is that right now, the Leinster Football Championship is obviously...
I mean, is it? Let's wait and see.
It is more.
I mean, let's wait. I mean, like, there's a strong possibility. Cork put it up to Kerry for 15 minutes last year and got spanked. So maybe the same thing's going to happen again this year.
For how long?
15 minutes?
Oh, 15, I thought I said 50. Yeah, well, that is true. It's not going to happen this year, though. Like, also as well, you have more of a history of great contests there. More of a recent history of great contests than you do in Leinster. Like, Leinster's been essentially pointless for 7-8 years.
Yeah, but on balance, the Leinster Championship has been a far superior competition.
Over history, but we all know that.
You mean right now?
Judging Leinster on history is not exactly a smart thing to do. It's changed a lot since 20 years ago. Right, let us hear what the manager himself, Mick McCarthy, had to say to Nathan after last night's win.
Were you frustrated at the performance, the Irish performance?
Not really. I was just frustrated at the game. I'm not frustrated with the lads. I was a little bit frustrated in the first half because I think we even stopped them playing. They had a little bit too much for my liking. Second half they didn't. I can't remember them getting in did they get in our 18-yard box? I'm not sure. You might say, well, they shouldn't. But I mean, I got the stats. We've had a 30-odd shots and nursing crosses. We've just been profligate, wasteful. Maybe the final pass. Maybe I should congratulate them for being so belligerent and stubborn and defending well. But we were pretty wasteful. So, we work on it, we'll continue to work at it, but I'd have took 10 points beforehand.
Is it one of those games though, Mick, where in such a tight group you might regret not racking up a few more goals at the end of the campaign where goal difference could end up going against you?
I think you're all very disrespectful to Gibraltar, actually. I really do. Talking to me beforehand about we ought to be over a festival of football and score 5 past them, whatever it is. I was never thought that's the case, and I'm sorry for being so pragmatic that I'll take the points. Yes, we could have scored more, but we haven't. So if I end up regretting it because somebody beats me on goal difference, I'll tell you then if I regret it. But this moment in time, I'm happy with the 10 points.
Do you think it's actually going to come down to goal difference?
It's a good possibility, and you've got 3 teams relatively evenly matched, certainly 2 teams relatively evenly matched in us and Denmark. Say Christian Eriksen goes to Real Madrid or whoever it is and is like settling in but doesn't settle in immediately and loses his form for a little period of time. There's no reason why we shouldn't finish on a similar level to Denmark in this group. And yes, history shows goal difference is really important. Try and score some goals, it's important. It's in the rules for a reason. Play by the rules. Anyway, Dane scored 5 last night against Georgia. Probably not. This stage too late.
Like that period where our backs were to the wall on Friday, does that not suggest that once you come up against a good team again, and they have even just a tad more luck than Denmark had on Friday night, there could be a bit of a waterfall of goals?
Look.
Or maybe Denmark are actually the best team in this group, as Nathan tried to allude to on Friday night, or on Friday on AM.
I don't know. I don't think they are. I think the Swiss are clearly the best team in the group at the moment by a bit, right? Not a huge amount, but by a bit. And they're playing football at a higher level than we are at the moment. And all of history and every single qualification group that Ireland have ever come out of has been a load of backs to the wall performances where grit and resolve get you through. So no is the answer to that question.
Right, we're turning our attention to GAA because Ronan O'Neill is with us on the line. Good morning to you, Ronan.
Good morning, how are you?
Not too bad. I was going to describe you as a former Tyrone footballer, but I'm not sure if that's fair. You stepped away from the panel earlier this year. Is that it done now, or is there a chance you come back in the future?
I suppose it's probably not really up to myself, is it? That's probably left in other people's hands. So, no, we left on good terms. Just see how you get on the rest of the year in terms of club football, and if it was playing well, then we would revisit things at the end of the year. So, I suppose it's left in my own hands, and hopefully, I wouldn't like to think it's the end of me. So, hopefully, at some stage, I'll be back in the Tyrone colours.
How has it been for you over the last couple of months? Has it been strange not being involved in a championship panel, and most importantly, not being involved in a big game like Saturday night?
Oh, it has been weird. Two of my best friends are still there, Tyrone and Connell, and McCann, and it's just been weird not being with them every day, and just missing the boys, because there's such a close bond there with everybody in that team, and just going from maybe 4 nights, 5 nights a week with them, and maybe not seeing them maybe once or twice a week, maybe with some of them, and so it's been a different transition, but that's just part of life, and that's where it is at the moment. But Saturday was probably the first time it really hit home that there wasn't walking into Breffni Park with them, or wasn't running on the pitch, and that's the sort of the games that you like sort of playing on is against Donegal now, but that's just the way it is at the moment.
And what is that? Is that like a pang of missing it? Is it a sense of regret?
No, not really. Listen, I'm happy where I'm at the moment. I came to the conclusion halfway through the league that I wasn't going to be part of it anymore, but didn't want to disrupt it during the league because we had 2 losses and a draw, and just said to myself, listen, sir, we'll give it the end of the league, see where Tyrone's at, see where yourself's at, and then, but let's just step away, let's try and get a bit of confidence back playing for Roma, and let's see what the future holds. And after that, but no sense of regret. Listen, I'm happy with my decision. It came as a sense of relief just because I wasn't playing, and just a bit of frustration and everything I was doing in life, not just playing football. So, no, happy with my no regrets with the decision.
Why weren't you playing, Ronan? What happened? Because I mean, you're somebody who was a player of the month at one stage. You looked like you were going to be an important forward for Tyrone for the next half decade to a decade. So why, in your own mind, weren't you getting the game time?
Well, I suppose that's a difficult question to answer, but maybe Mickey had tried a few things out in the league this year, and it obviously wasn't working. And then they changed to put McCahill and Matty up front, and they're two extremely good footballers, and it was a different style of play in terms of 2 physical men up front. And I was sort of battling out with Lee Brennan, Conor McCaskey, Rory McIlroy for maybe coming on, and them 2 boys were just seemed to be ahead of me at the stage, and that's what Mickey just said when I decided to leave, that them 2 boys were just further than me and Lee at the moment, and that was nobody's fault. Just he said they were playing a wee bit better, but that's just the way it was left. So.
Do you have any conversations with Mickey at that point? Is it saying, right, how can I actually improve my game or change my game to get back into this team and get more minutes?
Yeah, I suppose after the Galway game, I rang him to say that I was going to step away, and then we just had an honest conversation, and he just wanted me to get back playing football and having a bit of confidence, having that sharpness that they thought that I was missing a wee bit. So when I had it in 2016, when I had a sustained run with Tyrone, so he said that'll only probably come back with playing games, and I felt that playing Roma was the best opportunity for me to do that. So we agreed that we'll step away for the rest of the year, and then we'll see what happens at the end of the year.
And when that happens, when you make that decision, you have that conversation, you hang up on Mickey Harte, what's your immediate feeling after that?
Well, I suppose I went to his house rather than ringing him, but just said I wished him all the best the rest of the year. I would be supporting the boys fully, and I'd love to see him go on and win All Ireland because I do think they're capable of doing it. Yeah, it was just a sense of devastation at the start because it's been such as part of my life since I was 19 years of age. Not been around the boys, not been having the high quality training every day, going to training, but just these things happen in life, and you just have to get on with, and you have to readjust, and it's just a small bump in the journey that you see yourself going on. So you just have to reset your goals and go again for next year, hopefully.
And after the devastation passes and you get back to playing club football with Omagh, how does life feel then? What's life like outside the bubble of the Intercounty?
That's not too bad. One thing for sure, I'll not be getting criticised playing for Tyrone anymore, but it's not too bad. Yes, enjoy back then with your club teammates and friends that you've been with since you're under 8, and getting no real pressure going to club training, and you're able to do different things that you might not be able to do with the county, and just looking forward to the rest of summer, and hopefully the club championship has a prolonged stay for myself and Omagh, which will be good. So looking forward to it now.
We've all seen over the past couple of years the commitment levels of intercounty footballers. There was an ESRI survey done last year in terms of the hours and hours and hours that goes into being a top-class intercounty footballer. You must just have so much more time now, Ronan, just on a purely basic level to actually focus on your own life.
Yeah, listen, intercounty football is very, very demanding, but it's one that probably the most county players enjoy doing because they like to better themselves. And at the moment, yes, I have free time, but obviously it's time that I can use myself to work in different areas that I like to work on. Hopefully that I can make me a better player for Mickey when he sees the championship games. But yes, there's different things then I can go and do then, obviously, with my free time. And it's nice to have that sort of bit of break at this time in my stage in my career. So it's different, yes. It'll take a wee while to get used to it, but one that I'm enjoying at the moment.
Do you have to put a career on hold, or have you been able to manage the work-life balance thing properly over the last number of years, Ronan, or is this something now you kind of get a chance to kind of get out of the system and look and go, okay, actually, I need to make sure that everything else is happening in my life as well, and then maybe I will be able to go back and get that sharpness and just enjoy being part of the Tyrone setup next year?
No, not really. I think I managed it all right. I think I did my after 2016, I did my PGC, which is my teaching qualification in Korean, and was able to manage that by playing intercounty football. And then last year was my first year out teaching. So no, I got plenty of work, and this year I've had plenty of work too. So it's not a real aspect we have to worry about one side of work or career or football, whatever. But I've been able to manage it all right through my intercounty career. So not something I'll probably be looking to doing anymore than the rest of my life.
Can I just ask you one thing, Ronan? Just one thing that I'm not sure about from everything you said there. Did Mickey Harte ever ask you to stay? Like, it seems that there was a conversation, you told him you were leaving, and that was it. Like, did he say anything to you to say that, listen, Ronan, there's actually a place for you here?
Oh, yeah. Listen, Mickey never likes people leaving, and loses quality of the squad, and he asked me reasons why, and he said to me to think about the bigger picture. Hopefully, there'll be a lot of games in the summertime, but I just felt for myself, that I didn't think that staying about would do myself any justice by just sitting there if I wasn't going to get game time. He said it would find it very hard to get back into the team as the year went on because of the system that they were playing, and the boys were ahead of me. And it's just been a couple of years, it happened a couple of years now where I was sort of coming on, and I said to myself that I would fight for position, but it was just this year I didn't feel that I had the drive to do it again. I just felt that I needed to go back, take a step back, look at things differently, and maybe look at it at the end of the year, maybe going back in again if I was playing well.
We've all seen this new system that's been employed over the last couple of months by Tyrone. Why exactly are you the sort of player that doesn't work in that system?
Honestly, I'm not sure. That's Mickey's and Gavin's call to make. Like, yes, you probably would have been like maybe it's some of the boys kicking the balls in, because I feel that I have that vision and it's in my repertoire to spray them balls. You see Richie Donnelly, how improved Richie Donnelly, because he has great kicking skills in his game, and I felt that would suit me. But listen, Mickey picked the players he thought would be best suited for the role, and it could have been, if it was different this year, he could have picked me, and I could have sustained on, and we could be having a different conversation here. But listen, he just didn't pick me, and I'm not one here to say, listen, I should have been playing. Like, Mickey was the one man making the decision, and I'll stand by it. Like, so just unfortunate that I wasn't playing, but that's just the way it was, and I have no qualms about it at all.
Obviously, a couple of months after that, then Lee Brennan also leaves the panel. Was there any idea in your head while you were in the panel this year that Lee Brennan was a little bit unhappy and that he might follow your path?
Well, you just know after certain games if boys are just disappointed not getting on, and obviously Lee last year, he had a very good year, and he was starting in All-Ireland semi-final, and he just felt that, it's probably the same boat as myself, that he was frustrated not getting game time, and Lee's the sort of boy that all he wants to do is play football, and he has a ball in his hand every time you see him at training. He's probably one of the most skillful footballers in the team, like, just because that's all he ever does is play football. So, listen, I'm not one to comment on Lee, like, but the first time I seen him was just we played Trillick in a star game, and he just said to me before the game that I pulled out this morning, and just all I want to do is play football and enjoy my football again, and just he didn't think he was doing that when he was sitting on the bench for Tyrone. So did it come as a surprise? Probably a wee bit, yes, because Lee's only in the panel since about 2015 or 16. So but again, that's a personal decision for Lee, and hopefully one that he backs and doesn't regret.
Yeah, there were some interesting things said after Lee's decision to leave the panel. Owen Mulligan, for example, was on the record as saying, some might say that Harte's system did not suit the likes of Ronan O'Neill, Brennan and even Darren McCurry last year. But bottom line is, when given your chance by Harte, you have to take it. It is easy to throw your head up and walk away. How about stay and fight for the starting jersey? Was that a little bit harsh from Owen Mulligan?
Well, I suppose he is now a very passionate Tyrone supporter and probably a pundit too looking at it, but my response to that, does he not think that we done that enough? I felt that I'd done that enough. Sat there and proved my worth a wee bit, and I had fought for the jersey, and I had pushed myself to the limit to try and get in. But sometimes in life you just have to look at the bigger picture, and obviously I wasn't playing, and there's a number of forwards that were ahead of me. Kyle Coney came back in this year too, and obviously Connor, McCalskey and Darren and Lee were a wee bit ahead of me, but that's just the way it was. But listen, that's Muggsy's opinion. If he thought that we should have fought and stayed and fought for the jersey, that's his opinion. But no, I felt that I had done enough over the years, or over the last couple of years anyway, to prove my worth to the squad. But that's his own personal opinion.
Has that been an opinion shared by other people at all, Ronan? What's the word in the street been when you're out and about? Are people congratulating you on your decision, wishing you well, or has there been other dissenting voices?
No, listen, a lot of people have wished me well. I thought it was the right decision to make in my stage in career. I was at the Tyrone game on Sunday, and met a number of supporters, players, supporters, and they just wished me well. They just said I was probably raging that I wasn't playing there today, and they said that the boys would probably need me, and I didn't think that they would, but they thought that I would be badly missed throughout the summer, and no, they wished me well, and they thought I've handled myself very well since I've left in terms of a few interviews and where I am now, and hopefully, like I said, they'd like to see me back again. So no, it's been all good. It's been a positive reaction for me stepping away, so I can't complain in that way.
What are you feeling when you're watching Tyrone getting beaten then on Saturday night?
Oh, listen, first of all, I'm a Tyrone supporter, and it's not nice to see. Like, I was surrounded by a number of Donegal people, like, and it was just a sense of frustration. Just seeing the boys try so hard, and some things weren't coming off, and then Donegal were just doing things at ease. It's just one of those days where everything clicks for them. Watching Tyrone, like, you're first and foremost you're a Tyrone supporter, and it was very hard to watch it because you're trying to kick every ball with them, like. But devastated for them losing, because I know the level of preparation and the level of training they do for them types of games, and it's just disappointing that they had an off day, and hopefully they'll get back on the wagon again against Longford in the qualifiers.
What do you think went wrong for them?
I think it was a mixture of Donegal have been very good, and Tyrone just a lot of basics just went wrong for them, in terms of, you know, a kick pass probably went wrong, or a hand pass went wrong when they passed the 45, or, you know, when then Donegal just ate that up and played in their system, and just they broke at pace, and they have a lot of pace over the pitch, and Tyrone just found that probably a wee bit hard to handle. I thought maybe Tyrone could have maybe mimicked Donegal in the way they set up, maybe, and just set up stall and played well, like men behind the ball like Donegal were doing, and just play like a game of cat and mouse, and see where it went from there. But obviously, I said before the game that if Tyrone were not to concede goals, that they would go a long way to winning. But just unfortunate that they conceded goals so early, and it was very hard to claw back, because I think it was a case of Donegal maybe kicked 1-2, and that gave them the breathing space. So that's 5 points. That kept Tyrone at arm's length for the rest of the game. And they found it very hard to claw back, because once Donegal went in front, and traditionally when Donegal go in front, they're very hard then to break down.
It certainly seemed that way, all right. Well, Ronan, it's been great to chat to you. Thanks a million for taking the call, and enjoy the rest of the summer off, and hopefully we'll see you back in a Tyrone jersey one day.
Thanks very much. I appreciate the call.
Ronan O'Neill there on the line live from Tyrone this morning. Obviously walked away from the panel earlier this year. John Duggan's going to be in with us chatting golf in just a moment, but before that, just to tell you that Off the Ball is back on the road again in association with Super Value from St Finbarr's GAA Club Cork on Thursday the 20th of June. We'll be talking all things Munster final. Can Cork get back on the days of glory, or are Kerry still the kings of the province? This is an exclusive off-air event, so the only way to enjoy it is to be there on the night. For more information, log on to offtheball.com/events. Now, we've been chatting a bit about Seamus Coleman and Matt Doherty. Let's see what Coleman had to say about Ireland's performance last night.
You put yourself in a very good position for the real tough 4 games that are to come, starting with Switzerland. The energy, everything about Friday night, is that what you'll be focusing on when you go back into camp? That's the standard you set in terms of how you put yourselves about and what you try and do on the pitch?
Yeah, definitely. That's the standard we need to be at, and I think sometimes, you know, we tried that on Friday night, and sometimes we got played around because they're good players, but I'd rather that than play on the back foot. You might nick the ball higher up. I thought today, first half especially, second balls, we didn't get to second balls quick enough. It looked like at times they're a little bit fresher and wanted it a bit more than us, but second half we got a little bit better at that. But against the bigger nations, I do think we'll fight, and we'll try and win second balls and play from there, and I'm fully confident going into the games, and I feel that we can qualify.
You can take a deep breath. The season is done. Team bonding tonight. Will you go out and celebrate this and get away on the holidays then for the next few weeks?
I think a few of the lads might go out. I'm back to Donegal in the morning, so not for me. I can't wait to get back and see the girls, see the family, and then get some holiday time and chill out. And you know, nowadays us players, we don't chill out for too long. We're thinking about getting back fit and get back to Everton and get ready to go again.
Surprised to see John Joe Kenny go out on loan for the season. It looked as though last year that he was a player that the manager liked and liked to have him putting a bit of pressure on you.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's technically a very good player, and whatever discussions he's had with the club, maybe he wants to play more. Maybe we're looking at bringing in another right back, and you know, John Joe, I think is a great move for him. Schalke, I think that's happening more and more with young English players who are doing that. So I think he'll do really well, and I wish him all the very best.
Seamus Coleman there speaking to Nathan in the aftermath of last night's 2-0 win against Gibraltar. John Duggan is here. How are you?
Good, Owen. Good morning. Thank you.
Report card, Mick McCarthy so far. Give us a rating out of 10.
7.
All right, okay, that's higher than some people might give him.
Well, Mick's here to do the job. He's a project manager. He's here to get the team to the Euros. That's the way they split this when they appointed Mick and Stephen Kenny. So Mick it's not 1996 for Mick, where he's building for a few campaigns. He's got a job to do. That's why I think he's a bit more relaxed about the return of 10 points from 12 than other people are, because they're lamenting the performances. But Mick's here to do a job, get us to the Euros, make ourselves, do ourselves justice, and that's it.
Do we stand a chance of getting 3 points in either game against Switzerland? Like, do we need that actually? Or can 2 points, can we come away with 2 points and then hope that we can perhaps beat them at home?
I think we can beat them at home. I think we can beat anybody at home. But what we need is a full capacity of Aviva Stadium. We need blood and thunder. We need a degree of focus, a character and guts and all that. But as I was saying on News Talk Breakfast this morning, like, I'm getting a bit weary of it all now. I'm getting weary of the Groundhog Day cycle of being an Irish football fan, because I love the Irish football team. You know, I grew up supporting the Irish football team, but for like a decade now, it's Trapattoni, negative football, bad football, hoping for the result. O'Neill had great moments. The Germany game was amazing. The Bosnia, when we qualified for the Euros, and even in the Euros, great moments. And O'Neill was able, despite the troughs, was able to motivate teams to perform. Mick plays really good football. I think he's the right man for the job. But what we're seeing is the technical limitations of Irish footballers. No Robbie Keane, no Damien Duff, no Richard Dunn, no Kevin Kilban, no John O'Shea. We're really seeing that come home to roost now in the limited players that we have. So it's just worrying, and it's just I'm a little bit weary of the constant build-up and the obsessive coverage and then the fight. But then we all know that even if we get to the Euros, we'll be stuffed in the last 16.
You reckon?
Yeah, I can't see us. We're
stuffed as in like 5-1 versus Denmark.
No, we'll just be. There is a limit. We can all go on the journey with Ireland, but there's a limit right now. Whereas when I was a young lad, Hungary 1989, it's all crackling. It's Paul McGrath scoring. It's like Lansdowne Road, everybody packed in like sardines. I was at the last friendly before the 1990 World Cup, Liam Brady's testimonial against Finland. You're feeling like the sky's the limit here, and it was the limit. Got to World Cup quarter-final, but it'll be next year it'll be 18 years since the Euros will be 18 years since our last World Cup appearance in Japan and South Korea, and I don't feel that sense of possible that I would have felt as an Irish fan when I was younger.
Yeah, we've got to look to some of the underage teams to give us that sense of hope now, don't we?
And the problem we have, Owen, is we're in a rock and a hard place now, because it's so important financially to play at the Euros, from a credibility point of view, to have matches in Dublin and all of us going there. But on the other hand, we also need to build, and we need to have a style of football. That's why Stephen Kenny's there with the under-21s. We see the under-19s. There's only 8 teams in Armenia for that under-19 championship. We're there, Tom Owen's team. But Mick has got a job to do. So you're in that catch-22 of having to just get results versus building for the future. And that's a frustrating thing at the moment, I think. So I'm not really blaming Mick. I understand where Mick is coming from with his pragmaticism. But yesterday was a very tough watch.
If you're growing weary of Irish football, I hope you're not growing weary of having 4 majors in 4 months when it comes to golf. Because we've arrived at the US Open this week, and it feels like we're just kind of catching our breath from Brooks Koepka's performance last week.
Your buddy Brooks.
My buddy Brooks. It's not going to be his week. From all the reading I've been doing, and from all the watching we've done at Pebble Beach down through the years, this is not a course for a beefcake like Brooks Koepka.
Sounds like a wrestler. Well, I think more so it's difficult mentally to keep going the way he's been going to win he's going. I think only one. I think a Scottish guy in the first years of the 20th century won. I think it was Willie Anderson. I can't remember what his name was. I stand to be corrected. Only one person's ever done it before, win 3 US Opens in a row. I can't see Brooks Koepka doing that. Just mentally, like, it was quite draining the last round of the PGA when he held off Dustin Johnson. So. No, it's Pebble Beach. It's a fascinating course. I played it on the Tiger Woods game for many years.
So did I. Great game.
Great game. It's great when you perfect it and then you start shooting 55.
Like, the best thing about those Tiger Woods games is that you actually create your own character to take over the world. Like, you don't take over the world as like Luke Donald or whoever was like the top golfer in 2007. Like, my golfer was like a beefcake, a big ginger guy, called me, and he used to dominate the world number 1. He used to win every tournament, and Pebble Beach was a course that he loved to play.
My guy had a cowboy hat and sunglasses.
And what was he called? John Duggan?
I don't know what he was called, actually. Probably just John or something. So Pebble Beach is this, to be kind of half serious, it's a strange kind of beast in that it's on the most beautiful peninsula in California. I don't know if it's the Monterey or it's near Monterey. There's just the most magnificent, breathtaking views and like rocks and stuff. And it's parkland course, but it has sea holes. So there's a short par 3 7th, which is a famous hole, which Tom Kite in 1992 chipped in the wind for a birdie, and he never looked back after that. 8th and 9th are long holes down the coast, and then the finishing hole, the 18th, you got to drive it over the sea onto the fairway. So, and the rest of it, a lot of the rest of it's kind of parkland. So it's got the beautiful. It's kind of has a parkland and a linksy kind of fusion, which is beautiful. So it can get really, really windy there. So the last winner at Pebble Beach in a major. So the funny thing about it is that in February every year they play this Pro-Am, where they've like Kenny G, the saxophone player, and all Bill Murray and all these kind of guys like playing with the pros, and it's quite soft. It's quite soft conditions. It's not hard and fast. It's not as linksy as you're going to get now this week for the Open at Pebble Beach, the US Open. 2010, Graham McDowell won it. Had been in form the previous week, had won in Wales. With a very tidy player, Graham McDowell, as we all know, tee to green guy, and he won the US Open in a brutal final day when Dustin Johnson collapsed. And I don't think Graham McDowell even had a birdie. He just grounded out to win. But on the other hand, in 2000, Tiger Woods won by 15 shots. The greatest performance you're ever going to see, and will never ever be surpassed in golf, to win in a 156 runner field by 15 shots. And I think he had a triple bogey in one of the rounds. It was just a supreme, Tiger Woods at his absolute peak, and a supreme demonstration of his ball striking, which you really need around Pebble Beach. You really need to hit the ball pure. That's why I think players like McIlroy, McDowell and Larry are all on form, and they all have chances this week. For that reason, you have to be in form. You cannot be off in your game at Pebble Beach from a precision point of view, and also to be able to play in the wind. And then back even to 1992, Jack Nicklaus told Colin Montgomery, who'd finished early, "You've won the US Open, you're the US Open champion." It was so windy, but then the wind died down and Tom Kite came through to win. So Jack won there, Jack Nicklaus in 1972. He'd won the Masters, and then he won the US Open there. He was going for the Grand Slam in the single year, but he was narrowly beaten in the British Open by Lee Trevino. So Woods, I don't expect him to win this week, but he is going for the second leg, and in traditional terms. But of course now the PGA has been moved, so we don't have the US Open as a second one anymore. It's Woods and Koepka, and it is kind of hard to believe that we'll be finished the major championship season in a month.
Yeah, is that a good or a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the PGA was always seen as a bit of an afterthought. Played at hot courses in August near the Ryder Cup, had less marquee winners, and I think the PGA, funnily enough, they've sorted the courses for the PGA. The PGA's played on really good courses now, and the US Open's courses and the way the course has been set up has been a bit tricky and a bit kind of contrived over the last few years, and the players don't like it. Rory McIlroy doesn't like it. Chambers Bay, where they had it a few years ago, was a joke of a course. Dustin Johnson 3-putting on the final green and losing the title. Shinnecock Hills got out of control, not for the first time last year. I didn't see any of it. I was in Russia, but I remember reading about it. So they just sometimes. The US Open used to always be about fairways and greens and brutality, that if you don't get it on the fairway or in the green, you're in the jungle and you can't get it out of there, you know. It's recently changed to, they've kind of shaved back the rough areas, but they've kind of got these bowl greens and, you know, chipping surfaces, and they're turning it into a bit of a linksy course. Whereas I think you can't recreate a links. A links, as you would have at the British Open, would be generally quite natural. And also the greens generally at the Open Championship, which is going to be in Portrush next month, are generally very fair. Whereas I think the greens have got away from the USGA in recent years. So, funny enough, Oakmont was a real tough test, and Shane Lowry played really well there. And I think Shane Lowry will enjoy this test if he hits the ball well this week.
When it comes to Rory McIlroy, we kind of get ourselves into a situation multiple times a year where we built him up before major, and then the Monday we're like, okay, next time we're never getting ahead of ourselves when it comes to Rory McIlroy. Are we kind of going to fall into this trap again this week, where we say to ourselves, well, Rory won last week, and actually in hindsight next Monday we're like, well, obviously he won last week, it wasn't a major?
I don't think it's a trap that we should be afraid to fall into because of his supreme talent. 10 top 10s this year, one of the players, won last week in Canada with that 61 in the final round, 7-stroke victory. When he's on, Rory McIlroy, and he hasn't been on like this in a while, I haven't felt. Like, he has had a good season, the Masters aside, which was poor. Like, he did finish in the top 10 of the PGA, but I don't know why it's taken him so long to work this out. He needs to play the week before a major, because he was rusty going into the Masters, rusty going into the PGA. When he won those 2 majors in 2014, he won the other tournament, the Bridgestone, I think, in between. So he won 3 tournaments in a row. He is a streak player, a hot player, and maybe he's been thinking too much about, okay, I need to prepare for the Masters this way. I need to be very precise about how am I going to prepare, get all these self-help books and all that. Rory is at his best when he's free, when he's got that gait, when he's got that swagger, when he's just hitting it so pure, as he did last week in Ontario. So he'll need to have good course management at Pebble Beach this week. He's not necessarily, I think he's a better target golfer because he hits the ball so high than a wind golfer. Even though it opened that he won at Hoylake, it wasn't that windy. I don't know what the conditions are. We're going to go into it in more depth tomorrow on the show. But I still do think, I'm still, like, what's they call it, the bullish and the bearish markets in stockbroking. I'm still bullish about Rory McIlroy. I still think he will win majors. I still think he will win more majors than he has. Now, it is 5 years, and the more that goes, the more, as you say, we have the Monday morning conversation. But I'm still on the right side of Rory because I just think he's just too talented.
That thing with freedom is such an interesting thing because it seemed before the Masters this year that Rory had figured it out. He had figured out what it all meant. What it all meant in terms of finally getting that green jacket. It was like, if it's not going to happen this week, then so be it. If it doesn't happen for me this year at the Masters, I'm going to have a chance again next year. And if it doesn't happen next year, I'm going to have a chance again the year after. But I do wonder, hindsight being our best friend here, that if he's saying this as some sort of persuasion to himself.
Yes, I would think that. And there is huge pressure on him. And it's never been done by many golfers. I think was it 5 or 6 golfers have done the career Grand Slam. Which Jordan Spieth is also 3 out of 4, although the PGA is the one he hasn't won. I would agree with that. I think Rory McIlroy should just do a 2-minute press conference and just not, but unfortunately with all these regulations, or in the press conference, you should just talk about other stuff, and not get too actually. It's funny because I saw him in the press conference before the Canadian Open, and he was joking about Brooks Koepka winning everything, and that was an interesting insight because he was relaxed, and for a regular tour event, and I think Rory just needs to do his talking on the course, and there is a lot of kind of swirl that surrounds him. The swirl over the Olympics, the swirl over Lahinch. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And I don't think he likes any of that. From observing him, I don't know the guy, but then he might sometimes get caught up in the swirl over you. Well, you haven't won the Masters. Why aren't you? You're meant to be the next big thing. Why aren't you the next big thing? Why is Brooks Koepka now the next big thing? What happened to you? And maybe he just needs to go and do it on the course, because I remember he was quite competitive, even the way he was speaking about, like, I have more majors than these guys a few years ago. And he's not really in that kind of, locker room talk. He did it against Patrick Reed. It didn't work. Maybe he overdid it in the Ryder Cup with in the States and that. I just think he just needs to be quite singular and go out there and have fun and loosen it a bit and just show how brilliant he is. Because I still think he's the most naturally talented golfer out there. And I do think that natural talent is everything in golf. But you do need to fuse that with application. But generally, when Rory's won majors, when he won the PGA in Kiawah Island, or when he won the US Open at Congressional, he blew them away. He's capable of blowing courses away. We just haven't seen it as often as we had been seeing it. Is it possible this week? Probably. He had to get off to a good start, but I can't see a 15-shot win as we had with Tiger Woods. So it's great. You all kind of different types of golfers. The Patrick Cantlays, the Xander Schauffele's, the Irish lads. Then we have Woods as a storyline. Phil Mickelson has won that Pro-Am many times. He won it this year, I think. And Phil Mickelson, the only major he hasn't won is the US Open. He's been second 6 times. Jordan Spieth is back. Dustin Johnson blew it in 2010, but he's got a really good record here. So there's so many plot lines and storylines. It's a veritable feast, I think, as I said on Twitter, and I can't wait. It'll be late nights, but watching it. But it really is it's almost the St Andrews of US Open venues. It is the most revered US Open venue, Pebble Beach. It is the mecca for the US Open, and I really hope they don't trick up the course and have it fair, and they're able to adjust to the conditions when they're setting the course up every day.
Let's hope so. And you'll be back in with us tomorrow morning giving us your tips.
Virtual insanity on Off the Ball AM when we give you the virtual €50 bet that we're going to try and make you money out of. Bet responsibly, but we'll try for the virtual insanity, the Jamiroquai feel. So I'm going off today now, put myself into the bunker, not the sand one, but the real one, and try and pick 4 golfers that'll hope to make a profit for this week at the US Open.
Do you actually have a little bunker where you do your research?
In my head. So, you might see me that.
I wish I had a bunker.
Sounds great. Not talking to people, but generally at home on the laptop, and I would be in the room and quiet and just going through a lot of things. And it's funny when you're a tipster or a punter, you do get feel. You have you're waiting for the magic and the mystery. And I'm not talking nonsense here. Like the album photo for the Gold Cup the day before the Gold Cup.
You had a dream?
Not a dream, but it's to feel. And I started watching all the replays of his races, and I'm getting the feel here. I'm getting the good gambler's feel for this, that this actually is going to happen. and then I begin to convince myself it's going to happen. And I've done that in the past and been successful. So I do look for the kind of the positive, it's not clairvoyance or anything, because I don't believe in that, but I do look for the positive feel over things and begin to feel a certain way about a golfer, and then I start, okay, I'll put the money down. When it comes off, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, sounds like it. So John Duggan's vibes are coming your way tomorrow morning here, or sorry, the morning after on OTB AM.
It'll be tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, tomorrow morning on OTB AM, so you don't want to miss that. And we're going to take a quick break, but before that, Rory McIlroy has been speaking about a lucky charm he had with him at the Canadian Open.
Rory, it looked like on the first tee a fan was trying to give you a loonie, but it looked like you pulled maybe a loonie out of your pocket already. Yeah. Did you have a loonie in your pocket?
I've been marking my ball with a loonie all week,
And do you know kind of the backstory about the lucky loonie in
Canada? So I played an RBC day on Tuesday over at Mississauga, and one of the guys gives me a lucky loonie to mark my ball with this week, and that's I said sure, why not? Every little helps, right? So I've been marking my ball with that all week, and it might have to cross the border and come with me to the States next week.
Join Bruce Betting now for a risk-free first bet up to €100. That's right. New Irish accounts can enjoy a risk-free first bet up to €100. So if your first bet loses, we'll refund your stake with a free bet. Now that's giving you more. Bruce Betting. In store, online, and now on your phone. T's and C's apply. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
You're very welcome back. Rory McIlroy there speaking about his lucky charm last week at the Canadian Open. Phil Egan is here. How are you?
Very well now. Yeah.
Your first Ireland game as a fan in quite some time last night?
Yeah, I think I'm back. I think the last game I went into as a fan was the one where David Alaba scored that sucker punch injury time equaliser for Austria. Yeah, it was the one that, it was the one that was coming. Like, you could just sense that it was going to happen. We kept just dropping deeper and deeper. This is under Trapattoni, 2013, I think it was.
2013, banging the money, yep.
And Alaba scored, and there was just people just streamed out of the ground that night, just so frustrated. So that was
I was frustrated that night, but my night was made because I met Andreas Weimann and Coppers that night.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of the Aussies were there, or Austrians were there that night, and so was Kieran Clark. So was
they would have been teammates at the time, wouldn't they? He was at Villa, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Andreas Weimann.
Yeah, actually,
at the time. And I think back to when we played Slovakia. Didn't Hamsik and Skrtel go to Coppers?
Did they? Yeah. Missed that particular night. Might have been a bit too young.
There's a buck in that, like. All the professional footballers that have attended Coppers, especially
their horror stories
outside Ireland.
Yeah, it is. I think they're kind of mystified by the place.
Like, you like to think of when the French came over, Zidane and Coppers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Zidane would be perfectly suited for Coppers, to be quite honest with. Like, I mean, it's not a place for headbutting someone, though. I mean, you get turfed out of there pretty quickly. It's a place where people only love each other. So actually, maybe it's not the perfect place for someone like Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah, he'd be hounded out of it anyway. But there was like, the atmosphere wasn't great last night. It was a nice evening, and I always find even like a summer evening, like if the games are under lights, and there just seems to be a different atmosphere. But I didn't have that we were playing Gibraltar as well, and everyone expected loads of goals, and the first goal was a deflected goal. The second goal came when a lot of people had left. I'll never leave a game early. And you're kind of vindicated when Robbie Brady scores in injury time. You're thinking, that's to everyone that left early to see our second goal against Gibraltar. But look, 10 points, 4 games in. We all know that the second half of the campaign is where we're going to be judged. But it is hard to be optimistic with Denmark, Switzerland, and a trip to Georgia to come.
Yeah,
it's hard to see what we can we win any of those games?
It's literally 5 of our 6
and
toughest
still have to
games.
go to Switzerland as well.
4 of our 5 toughest. Yeah, well, exactly. That's 4 of our 5 toughest games yet to come.
Like, I've been to Georgia in the last 2 trips. I was there like when McGeady got the late winner. Then I was there for the last one, the 1-1 draw, and it was an awful, like, dismal performance. And even last night you were thinking, I wonder how Georgia will get on against Denmark, and they equalised, and you think, oh, here we go, and then Denmark smashed them 5-1, and we beat them 1-0, and we were delighted with the performance.
We're not smashing anybody in this group, I think it's fair to say.
No, and look, if we grind our way to draws and pick up 1-0 wins here and there, I don't care.
Yeah, neither do I, to be quite honest with you.
No.
As long as we're there at our own Euros, and as Nathan keeps telling us as well, even if we don't qualify during this group, it doesn't actually matter because of the Nations League, the good old Nations League, saving us with our lowly place there, but still high enough for us to get a playoff. I presume it is Ireland that you're starting with this morning?
I'm going to start with obviously the 2-0 win over Gibraltar at the Aviva Stadium. Didn't get off to the best start considering the team bus broke down on the way to the ground, so they had to get a replacement bus, so the squad turned up 45 minutes later than usual. The first goal, an own goal from Joseph Cipollina in the first half after David McGoldrick's shot. You could see it was clearly off target. It was credited David McGoldrick inside the stadium, actually. Another thing that happened last night, actually, as the teams came out for the second half, on the stadium announcer, he said, "Welcome back, the Republic of Ireland and Georgia."
He immediately corrected himself.
He did. But I mean, if you're a Gibraltar player, you know, that's got to be a real kick in the...
They both start with G. They're both European minnows. Get over it, Gibraltar, is what I say.
Yeah, well, I mean, Georgia did beat Gibraltar. Second goal, a late header from Robbie Brady, a cross from James McLean. One of many crosses that was put into the Gibraltar penalty area. And probably one of the most entertaining things of the game was the goalkeeper. The Gibraltar goalkeeper knocking balls into touch. I know they play. We see rugby played in the Aviva, and maybe he's watched too much rugby. But he put it. I think we counted 8, and it became a thing. The crowd were cheering every time he was. They gave him the build up to every kick out. At one stage, you could see he threw his arms up. He was disgusted with himself and the whole situation. But look, Mick McCarthy said he was happy, even if the players didn't seem to be.
You know we are. We got 10 points. I'm amazed actually at the reaction to just winning 2-0. I went to the dressing room and they got the feeling. I said, "Hold on, lads. You know, you've had a great 3 weeks. We've won 2 games. We won a game and drawn a game. We've got 4 points. We'd have all been happy with it. Would they have been happy before the start?" All said yes. So I'm sorry, lads. I ain't going to be miserable about it. I'm happy. I'm off on my holidays with 10 points.
But doesn't that tell you about the players that themselves, while they're happy to get the results, they still would like to maybe themselves collectively play a little better, and you probably would like to play a little better as well?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying to you how many crosses and shots that we've had. Get the stats and see them. So it wasn't that we weren't trying to play football and play through them and got crosses in, we just didn't score.
Do you buy that? Crosses equals good performance?
No, I think the way Gibraltar set up, because they defended so deep, crosses weren't always the greatest option. I know Seamus Coleman's got a bit of stick for his final ball at times last night, and people were saying if that was Matt Doherty, he could have produced a better final ball. But literally, when Coleman got to the end line, there was just Gibraltar players everywhere. So to find a green jersey wasn't the easiest. I was impressed with Callum Robinson, and I have been when he's played for Ireland. I think he's been one of the bright spots in the last couple of years. I remember actually was at the Wales game. I thought he was very good, and Martin O'Neill took him off. I can see why Mick McCarthy took him off last night, because you're not going to take James McLean off because you know he can go for 90 minutes. He's the fittest player in the squad. I would think something I'd like to see is Callum Robinson on the left and a left-footed player on the right side, because they can obviously then cut inside, and that creates more space for the fullbacks. I thought at times McLean and Stevens were getting in each other's way, and that happened a bit. Like even when Robbie Brady came on, unfortunately for Robbie Brady, as talented as he is, he hasn't played that much football in the last couple of years, and you can see he's not as sharp. But when he came on, he created more space for Seamus Coleman, because he has that ability to be able to cut inside. And if you're a defender and Robbie Brady's cutting inside on his left foot, that's bad news for you. So Callum O'Dowd is somebody I'd like to see. He has been injured a bit. The Switzerland game is the 5th of September. Hopefully at that stage Callum O'Dowd has started the season. We presume, as things stand, it'll be with Bristol City, and he gets a good run in the team and his confidence is sky high, and then you can play him. You need something creative, and my worry last night was central midfield as well. It was just so much sideways passing, and it was just. Seamus Coleman said after the match that they needed to be more patient. I thought they were too patient. It was so slow. Now I'm not saying like you have to go direct, but straight away I would have just liked from the kick-off, just high tempo. If you score an early goal, then that's it. Gibraltar, their game plan is gone. They were loving it. The fact that 1-0 down going into injury time. they were quite happy with that.
Them and their half and half Gibraltar Ireland scarves, the Gibraltarian fans would have been loving it as well.
There was a guy actually outside the ground as I was leaving. He's trying to flog them off for a £5. Would you pay a £5 for one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not?
I
would have
bought you one up.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's nothing wrong with half and half scarves, especially in Ireland against Gibraltar.
Yeah, unless like if it's something like a Liverpool Man U or a Manchester derby. You're not having half and half.
The Brexit derby, Gibraltar versus Ireland, you can remember forever the 2019 renewal.
Yeah, if I'd known, apologies, I should have got you one. But Robbie Brady obviously scored the second goal for Ireland. He came off the bench and he said they'll have to improve heading into the second half of the campaign.
We definitely need to tidy up in the next upcoming games if we want to push on. And we've managed to pick up a good number of points out of the first 4 games now. So. A few more to go and we'll be looking forward to making it difficult for other teams and putting on performances and hopefully getting the results we need.
Yeah, so at the Switzerland game in Dublin on the 5th of September. More action tonight. Northern Ireland are away to Belarus in Group C. A win will keep Michael O'Neill's side top of the table ahead of Germany, who host Estonia. Scotland have a trip to Belgium in Group I. Steve Clarke started with a 2-1 win at home to Cyprus, but Belgium have 3 wins from 3 in that group. And Wales are in Budapest to face Hungary. Ryan Giggs' side looking to bounce back from a 2-1 loss to Croatia over the weekend. Also 3 more games at the Women's World Cup. First up at 2 o'clock, the European champions, the Netherlands, faced New Zealand. Sweden and Chile kick off at 5 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, holders USA start the defence of their title against Thailand. The GAA's Central Competitions Control Committee is due to meet later today, and now their top of the agenda will be the Tiernan McCann incident against Donegal at the weekend. The Tyrone defender made contact with the face of Donegal defender Stephen McMenamin in the papers today, talking about a 1-match ban.
Yeah, Colm Keys has that line in the Irish Independent this morning. Again, just a report, just a suspicion that it might just be a 1-game ban, which I guess is a bit surprising. There's no point commenting on it until we actually have the information in front of us. But I think that would raise a few eyebrows, to be honest with you, a 1-game ban.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I think what tends to happen is supporters from other counties then look at incidents involving their own and they say, well, this happened to us, why isn't this happening? But we can only comment on it when it happens. They have to determine the footage that they have and what they see. And you kind of wonder what they see when they deliver their verdict. Will then Tyrone look at that and think, okay, we're not happy with that verdict, we'd like to appeal it? It's you know yourself, in the GAA, these disciplinary proceedings, they can drag on for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Is that your lot? Or?
Oh, but just final thing to tell you about is a draw would be enough against Singapore for the Irish women hockey team to reach the last 4 of the World Series final. They get underway at 2 o'clock today.
Yeah, the Women's World Cup, because Ireland have done their stint over the last couple of days. US women's national team in action this evening, and I think it's one of these situations now where we get on board because, as I said, the Irish games are over. Are you looking forward to watching the Yanks play this evening?
Yeah, like I was listening to you talking to Ruth earlier, and I think the way it's set up, it looks like it's going to be USA and France in a quarter-final.
Yeah.
So doing this competition where I was asked to make my predictions, and one of the predictions was...
Who are you predicting tonight?
Oh, I haven't actually
done put you on the spot here.
I haven't done my score predictions. I kind of got it wrong yesterday. I thought Japan would beat Argentina, but watching that game, Japan technically very good, just couldn't get the final ball. So I got done badly there. I thought Canada would score a few more as well. Just off the top of my head, I'm looking. USA are going to beat Thailand. I have Sweden to beat Chile, and Netherlands will beat New Zealand. I just have to work out what score, because you get more points for if you can get the score predictions right. But in terms of the whole tournament, I think France, it's all going to be down to that France and USA quarter-final, provided they both win their respective groups. And I would be leaning towards France. I just think the Leon contingent in the squad, and I know Hope Solo has talked about USA. It's funny that she's criticising the USA don't keep as many clean sheets. I just think it's all set up for France to get to the final, and I'm thinking Germany or England.
We will hold you to your predictions every single morning here in Phil. We've established Phil's Women's World Cup predictions. Coming up tonight and off the ball, the lads are going to be reacting, as you can imagine, to Ireland against Gibraltar. Plenty of analysis on that. Donegal selector Cara Lacey will also be with Joe in studio. Tomorrow then here on OTB AM, we'll be looking ahead to the US Open in a bit more depth with John Duggan and his world famous tips coming your way from 7:30. Donald McRae will be in studio talking about his new book, and we'll also take a look at some of the upcoming GAA action. We are going to finish this morning though with a happy birthday message to one of our colleagues. Happy 35th birthday. He's a young man, Andy Lee.
Well, it's the most important boxing night for 4 years for Irish amateur boxing, because their sole representative, Andy Lee, boxed out of the St Francis Club in Limerick, had a spell with the Repton Club in London, looking relaxed and confident. And it's upon these young 20-year-old shoulders that the hopes of Irish Olympic boxing are going to be based here in Athens this year. It is a big ask of Andy Lee.
When I started out, I just wanted to box, and that's what gave me enjoyment. But as the years went by, it became a reality. Like, I realised it was something that I could possibly do professionally, and I turned professional in 2006, and since that day, it's always been my goal to be world champion.
Fighting out of the blue corner,
he wears the black trunks with red trim. Hailing from and representing Limerick, Ireland,
two-time NABF champion.
Please welcome the hard-hitting, the popular, and the reigning WBO middleweight champion of the world, Irish Andy Lee.
Let's cut to the chase. If you make it, right, and you win all your fights, tell us about the money. Come on, tell us about the money.
Money, that comes later. First you have to win your fights, then you worry about the money.
Now working out of the famous Danny Stewart gym, and Andy looking cool, calm, and about to collect.
But I'll tell you this, Andy Lee's only had 4 pro fights. This is probably the most highly touted 4-fight guy that I have ever known. I mean, today Emmanuel Stewart was quoted here in the local paper in Las Vegas saying Andy Lee is a Hall of Fame fighter.
And asked Stewart, how is this boy getting on? He said, champion of the future, no doubt.
Jake LaMotta is known for taking punches, but he also gave it. I knocked Carl Daniels out with a great punch.
Oh, beautiful right hook. Carl Daniels hit the canvas, and Benji Estevez said it is all over.
He said when Andy Lee landed that punch, the lights went out on Broadway. And
victory by a superb fighter.
Andy Lee's best chance, maybe, unless Korobov runs into a stamina issue, that right hook. We've seen Andy Lee land some right hooks, including one against Carl Daniels at the Little Room at Madison Square Garden. That was like Larry Bird in a 3-point contest.
Hard left hand by Bullfighter.
There's that Andy Lee right hook.
There's that dynamite right hook. He caught it. And Kenny Bayless stops the fight with Korobov standing up, and Andy Lee has another miracle victory.
That is so far the signature win of Andy Lee's career. That is a legitimate upset, a shocking upset knockout win for Andy Lee.
The winner by TKO victory, and now the WBO middleweight champion of the world, Irish Andy Lee.
And I'd like to say thank you to this man, Adam Booth. This title's for him, but it's also for the man who made me, Emmanuel Stewart. I lived with him for nearly 7-8 years, and I learned so much, and I owe this title. He said I would win a world title when I turned pro tonight. I met him true.
Home is the hero. Limerick and Ireland's latest world boxing champion Andy Lee touched down at Shannon Airport at lunchtime today, still coming to terms with the fact he's finally attained his boyhood dream.
It's surreal, but it's a great feeling all the same, and something I've dreamed of and fantasised about, stepping back here when I won the title, come back to Shannon and back to Limerick, and it's a dream come true.
OTB AM is